Yeah.
We might as well get to the intro real quick because I feel... Imagine if you were listening to that episode and you're like, wow, they said in a few weeks they're going to be coming back with part 2. I can't wait for part 2. Those listeners have been waiting a while.
Well, since Gucci is so icy, we have been in cryo sleep.
Yes, in honor of Gucci's iciness, we were in Demolition Man John Spartan style cryo sleep.
Living off borrowed time, the clock tick faster. Living off borrowed time, the clock tick faster. Living off borrowed time, the clock tick faster. Living off borrowed living off borrowed time, the clock tick faster. Living off borrowed time, the clock tick faster. Living off borrowed time, the clock tick faster. Living off borrowed time, the clock tick faster.
Right.
He's just too icy. Maybe too icy.
Well, we kind of do it like athletes, like, you know, to preserve ourselves instead of preserving our bodies, like, and staying young as long as possible, so we can, you know, be effective at our sport. Our sport is podcasting, so we wanted to, after the exhausting first Gucci episode, we had to wait a whole year to come back refreshed, ready to give you our best and most eloquent, you know, Gucci takes on mixtape cover art, random ramblings from the dark days of the prison era, but also some of his best
I'll take care
material,
of that. Don't worry.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're doing a lot of deferring to. If you listen to the previous episode, there will be a lot of similar deferring to Sophia for lightning rounds. There will be a lot of one-word reviews of things. No,
skip. No, thank you. Wrong, bad, go.
Well, we were talking about, I don't know if why it will even in it or not. We were talking about great reality shows from the early 2000s. There was one, I don't know if you had this in Germany, Sophia, the show called Next on MTV.
Yes, of course we had Next. The guys who dubbed this show, because it was dubbed in Germany.
We had like Next, where it's like, I don't know, the Purple album comes off the bus and you just next that shit.
Next. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so, that's a lot of shit.
For the listeners, if you were not around for the previous episode, we covered Gucci Mane's career with resident Gucci expert SophiaPhantom, Hurricane Slash on RYM, up to roughly Ferrari Boyz is where we left off, I believe.
Yeah. So we are picking up on the best album ever, of all time, ever recorded.
One of the best collab. Well, yeah, I mean, at the very least, the title track from Ferrari Boyz, instantly iconic. It was a collaboration that everyone had been waiting for. You know, Gucci.
We did Ferrari Boyz.
Yes, we did. We did Ferrari Boyz, and it was a collaboration that everybody had been waiting to hear. Gucci, one of his biggest proteges, and he followed that with a collaboration that
is even more classic.
Yeah, well, I'd argue that not as many people wanted to hear this collaboration. BAYTL with Gucci Man. Gucci Man and as Flocka is to Gucci, you could say that V Nasty is to Krayshawn. And I believe on this tape she says V Nasty Vanessa says that she does more for the culture than Bun B, was it?
Yeah.
Or
I think so.
So I've been sitting on this for about a year, this metaphor, this joke. Imagine that you have been waiting to have you're 16, 17 years old, and you've got your driver's license. I don't know what the driving age is over in Germany, Sophia. And you've been eyeballing a car. Let's say maybe, I don't know, for the sake of a new Lambo. This right here is your new Lambo. And it's a car of your dreams. And it drives like a dream. It's got everything you want. Seats are leather, Corinthian leather, perfect seats and everything. Drives perfectly, but there's just a fart smell. Wherever you're driving it, just persistent fart smell going through. You can't get rid of the fart smell. That is this album. Everything about it, Gucci's rapping, it's all Zaytoven production. Front to back.
All Zaytoven.
That is one of the things that everybody been asking for out of Gucci, and you get it on here. But on every track is the fart smell of V Nasty rapping. If you want to. One thing I will say for her is she manages to go the entire album without using a word that she was very fond of and very unapologetic about using. And I'm really wondering if they had to sit her down and be like, you can't say that word. I know you think you have a right to say that word. You cannot say that word. Because at the time, it was a very big controversy. I don't know why it was a controversy that she really thought she was allowed to say the word. But she doesn't say it. She says a lot of other words, though, such as, I do more for the culture than Bun B.
Bun B.
Yes. I don't know why.
Basically a one-to-one. Basically the same
I'm guessing that maybe Bun B came out in the press and was like, white girl, stop saying the N-word. I don't know. Maybe that's why she specifically targeted him. But yeah, on this, every Gucci verse is nails. Except for one track, Fuck You, which is just one of the worst songs I've ever heard, by the way. One of the worst songs. There's nothing good about that song. It's at the very end, at least. Every Gucci verse is great. Every V Nasty verse is terrible. Back in the day...
Every Zaytoven beat is amazing.
Yes. Yeah. It's probably the best, most solid set of Zay Gucci collaborations until Everybody Looking, I would say. And I have always had this theory that he was, at this point, he was already actively falling out with Flocka over like business practices with like Flocka's management, aka his mother. So I almost feel like this was like a spite move to be like, I could give you Ferrari Boyz too, but I'm going to take these beats and do it with V Nasty instead.
I hate him so much for this. I hate him so much for this because, again, like, that is the perfect metaphor. Like, everything you would want out of a Gucci Zaytoven collab album is on here. And then Vanessa opens her mouth and she just...
It's literally like, we had a discussion yesterday in the Discord about how Krayshawn is really underappreciated, and I've really come to appreciate her with time. At the time, I was not as in, like, she got a lot of backlash, and I think a lot of it was just general garden variety misogyny, how dare the ladies be rapping and stuff, but I don't think you can truly appreciate how ahead of her time and good technically she is until you listen to her Weed Carrier. Because V Nasty is barely competent, and she has the like I used to think Krayshawn had a bratty voice. Like, she would do bratty affectations, but like, listen to Gucci and then listen to any V Nasty verse on this and tell me that Vanessa is not a competent rapper. Like, just basic levels. Like, she barely keeps the beat. She has a profoundly annoying way of rapping. Just ruins these fucking instrumentals, man. Ruins them.
She doesn't even need to say the N-word because, like, all of her verses already carry, like, the aura of a white person who is so used to saying the N-word that they think they have a right to stand next to fucking Gucci Mane.
What's funny is
you're saying this is proto, like, when Riley Reid started rapping.
Ooh, yeah. Shout out to our producer's favorite rapper, Ruben Slick, who inflicted that on the world. Sorry, Wyatt, I had to do it to him. But, yeah, this is audio blackface, is what this is.
It is.
This is like, you know what, it's funny. I mean, I don't know if it was the same kind of reaction at the time because I wasn't up on Gucci at this time. But remember in, like, 2015 or whatever, when everyone was saying, like, Iggy Azalea did audio blackface, which she did. That's just true. But this is, like, worse.
It is a lot. There's nothing on the Iggy album that was remotely as good as the beats on here or the Gucci rapping on here.
That's
like,
true. I strictly meant the
inflection. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a goddamn shame is what this is. Back in the day, they used to do stuff on Smoking Section. I always reference this, like Father, Like Son. They took Birdman off of that. First of all, every Birdman verse on that is infinitely better than every V Nasty verse ever. Somebody needs to recover this album and edit her off of it.
That happened. That's the best thing. Like when this dropped, like I was there at the time. And that was the first time I was like really actively aware of Gucci, and I noticed that on Dead Piff there were a lot of BAYTL no V Nasty cuts popping up, but I think she took them down.
God,
I think she took them down.
Why did she have to be so internet savvy?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like for all of you who don't know about V Nasty, like she basically got famous off of stupid MySpace videos where she just went around different hoods on the West Coast and just screamed the N-word at random black people. And she was very good at
I literally didn't know that.
No, that's what she got famous for. And then she started the white girl mob with Lil Debbie and Krayshawn. And
so yeah, I think a lot of the blowback Krayshawn got was essentially shrapnel for this dumb broad, basically, like this who added nothing to anything except for trolling. She essentially trolled her way to a career. A quote, heavy air quotes around career. But what I was originally going to say is I don't know how much we're going to get to the Gucci autobiography because I read it like a year ago in preparation for the episode. I thought we were going to do a year ago, and I didn't really do a refresher on it. He does address this in like 2 sentences. Basically saying, I got paid, you seem nice.
Oh, and that's what I was kind of getting at earlier. Like, I'm not surprised in the slightest that the takeaway was like, I got paid from this. Because when you were talking about, oh, it could have been a spite move at Waka, and like that might have been the case. But to me, I just thought like, oh, he got like a good check for it, and like, let's move on, basically, was his...
Yeah, I mean...
I feel like that is more closer to what actually happened.
Later, but... There's a joke I beat to death. I always do whenever I see a dumb weed carrier name. Shout out to, dumb weed carrier name. It all comes back to the video of when Gucci was on. And I really hope we don't have to talk about this. He was on the remix of It's Everyday Bro by
yes.
And he is doing an interview promoting this. And he says, shout out to all the Jake Paulers, man. That's where that joke comes from. And I feel like, yes, that's where paycheck Gucci comes from. Is you pay him, he'll say you're nice, he won't defame you in the media. Yeah.
Most of the time.
Unless you're Waka's mom. Yeah, fuck V Nasty. You ruined an album that we all really wanted to hear with your bullshit. And also, it goes without saying, I really think Fuck You might be the worst song in Gucci's catalog.
Yeah, it's up there.
It's really, really, I mean, we'll get to East Atlanta Santa 2 has some train wreck songs on it that have like a train wreck quality that's like charming to it. It's the same train wreck quality, but none of the charm. I think that's a Diplo beat too, by the way. So as usual, Diplo has his hand in some culture vulturing bullshit.
The war on Diplo will not stop.
We will not stop our war on Diplo until Diplo is defeated. Yep. That's really all that needs to be said about. I can't believe we put so many words about this album, but yeah, it's honestly worth hearing it. You know what? That's why its mission is to our resident Indiana Jones recovering lost music. Please find one of those no V Nasty edits of this album. Please. I'm begging you.
We will thank you with eternal gratitude.
That would do more for the culture than Bun B if you found that.
All right.
Okay, moving on. Let's never speak of V Nasty again. Moving on.
Now at least the next one is at least a true classic.
Yes, we actually move on to where we really should start here. Is Gucci had a very good 2012. Almost as if to atone for that previous project, he dropped a trilogy of some of his absolute hardest and best work. I will cede the floor to our resident expert, Sophia, also resident Makami expert, I'm sure, would like to discuss. Some jokes never die.
Well, we start with Trap Back. That is, if you were there in 2012, when this mixtape dropped, that was one of the only mixtapes that mattered at that time. Because Gucci just came in and just one tape, it's like 64 minutes long, and it was just bangers on bangers on bangers on bangers on bangers. Almost no skips, because Yo Gotti is on here. But yeah, like Trap Bag is just 19 songs of pure trap perfection, basically.
The first half especially is
the
hard
first
as fuck.
half especially.
Yeah,
We have Back in 95, Walking Lick with Waka. Plain Jane was one of his biggest hits at the time. The fucking Tetris sampling Get It Back with 2 Chainz.
Yeah, that was actually the first song with Chainz on it that really truly resonated with me, because he was everywhere at that time. But that was just like the first one, and he's on here a few times, I believe, twice, 3 times, or twice. Twice. Yeah, but that was the first one where I'm just like, every punchline just had me dying, and you can see where his style, like, obviously he was around before as Titty Boy, but I feel like he obviously changed his style up some when he became Chainz, and I feel like one of the things I want to get across in this episode is just truly how influential and Gucci was to the new, like, modern style of trap rappers. And he talks about it at length, like so many songs, like all these rappers are all my children. And, you know, Chainz, I think,
right.
Oh yeah, he is 100% right. Chainz definitely owes him a debt, like the punchline style. And another thing I want to get across is how much smarter he is than he gets credit for, because there was a very popular talking point back in the day that Gucci was ableist slur, and that's not true. He actually addresses that in the book too, is like that he had a learning disability. He does not. Like, I think he was a severe substance abuser, and I think that like affected his judgment but he, even in the deepest throes of his addiction, he had a sly sense of humor he never got credit for, and proper credit, I would say. And his punchline game is, well, I think this trilogy, I think, is probably peak Gucci, balancing menace with humor. And, but yeah, that initial run, Plain Jane, I think Plain Jane's only real detriment is that the remix is so much better. It's not on, but that remix, funnily enough, with T.I., who he does not get along with, but is better. But yeah, my 2 favorites on here are definitely Back in 95 and Walking Lick. Walking Lick, one of the best Waka Gucci collabs. Obviously,
no question.
I would put it in top 3, top 5. That hook is just pure fucking energy.
I like the Southside tracks too. Well, the opposite, opposite and the title track. Those are both really good.
Oh yeah, that's like the first half too. They're right back to back with each other, and then you've got a Future collab right next to Rick Fair.
Mm-hmm.
That was also amazing.
Yeah, those like the first, like, you know, from songs 2 to 9 are definitely the strongest points, and then you get some of the Chainz stuff toward the end with Mike Will. But yeah, this is a great tape, and really has Gucci, kind of like what Sophia was talking about, how it was efficient. You know, I mean, about an hour. You know, you take rid of the intro and, you know, the aforementioned Yo Gotti features and whatnot.
And Gato.
Oh yeah, that's a terrible song. I was trying to ignore that one, but yes.
That song is
that song is quite horrendous.
Shout out Chili Chill. I don't know who you are, but that's an amazing name.
Shout out. We used to be a real country when people like Chili Chill those were rap names. Seriously.
Well, I feel like probably just coasting on his SEO because people would Google what's up when's he getting out of prison, because they just thought he was Lupe Fiasco's plug, and then he ends up just being some third string Brick Squad weed carrier.
Well, he's got a great name for SEO, because imagine anytime you type like the word chill into Google, like he's got to be at least in the top like 20 entries because it's his name.
Right.
So, you know,
I mean, people just looking for chill shit. They end up wondering on this guy. Like they might be looking for the penguin from the 1940s cartoons, and they end up with this guy, you know?
Chill beats to study to.
Yeah. There's also another really chill-related weed carrier name later on in the tapes, too, that I hope we get to. Forget what he is, but I think it's the one that has his brother on it. And the only reason I know it's Duke is because of the autobiography. Because he's one of the most anonymous-sounding rappers on a Gucci tape. But I figured I was like, why the fuck is Duke? Because I think I actually make fun of Duke in the first episode too, and then I realized, oh wait, that's his brother. That's why he shows up here. Yeah, and even one of the Yo Gotti tracks has Jadakiss on it. I don't really remember anything about the Jada verse, but I don't think we got too many, if any more, Jada Gucci collabs. So that feels like kind of momentous.
Yeah, and how many times have we heard Jada over a Lex Luger beat? That can't have been that many times. Like,
I think there was one, he did a drama tape around this period, Consignment, and I think there was a Luger beat on there. Don't quote me on that, but that was a good tape, albeit very, very long, as, you know, drama tapes tend to be. But, wow, the intro only has a 1.0. I don't think that intro was, like, it was an intro, but it doesn't deserve to be, like, that downrated.
I think people just automatically, like, rate stuff like that poorly on principle. Like, I feel like that's just, that's a RYM thing. I don't think that's anything to do with... The intro could have been, like, amazing, and they would have given it, like, 3 stars, just because it's a 30-second song.
But on the other hand, like, you just want to skip to Back in 95, so...
Yeah.
By the way, also shout out for 1 quick second to Nodima for thinking that Get It Back has a Legend of Zelda sample.
I do see that.
Yeah, I mean, Nodima has great reviews of stuff, but sometimes his sample, like, I feel like he's attributed a lot of Chrono Trigger samples that aren't Chrono Trigger samples.
Yep.
Well, I will say that reading some of his reviews sometimes, I'll go back and listen to a track because I'm like, oh, did I miss something? Because instinctively, I'm always thinking in my head, oh, he must know what it is if he's saying it. So now I'm like, oh crap, I have to revisit this song or tape because I didn't hear it,
And then he doesn't know.
He does have a way of saying something very authoritatively that you just kind of believe it just on its face. So that's a testament to the quality of his writing, though, I will say.
That's true.
I was wrong about shit, and it turns out.
The ones that are actually the funniest when it comes to Nodima are the ones where he has like half the track ratings done, but then he doesn't like do the rest of the album or mixtape.
He had Channel Orange like that for a long time, and I was like, when's he going to finish the fucking Frank Ocean?
It was like the day the album came out, he had like half but then he didn't finish it.
But yeah, this is a classic. Gucci tends to do stuff in threes too. Like, I mean, he loves that. Like, obviously, when we get to the Meal trilogy, Trap House should have stayed a trilogy, I would say.
I agree.
So, like, I think Gucci worked like rule of threes with comedy and with Gucci, But as speaking of which, then we move on to I'm Up, which I wrote a very, very long review of.
It's also such a good fucking tape.
Except for the fact that you get both Chris Brown and Verse Simmons and Birdman on it and Big Sean, and it's still a good tape. You've got 2 Birdman features, Big Sean and Chris Brown, and I still love this tape.
Also,
Chill Will shows up again, by the way. We got more Chill Will for you.
Amazing. Thank you. That just what I needed.
I would like to go back and smack 2012 Patrick right square in the face for my shitting all over 2 Chainz on the title track and giving it a 3.254, which is actually like a 5. Like, the title track's amazing and 2 Chainz is hilarious on it. I'm so full of shit for my fucking review of that. I will say though, this is a really low. I will not take back my criticisms of Lil Wayne, though. This was a really bad period for Wayne, and I don't that this was a very that's the big disappointment here, is you expect a lot more of Wayne with Gucci over this instrumental. That's the one big disappointment.
Also, I just want to say, like, I'm Up starts basically with one of the most instantly iconic openers that Gucci has ever had in his entire career. Like, that hook, the way he just off-key belts out, "What would the game be without me?
I bet your girlfriend pussy."
Yeah, he truly is Gucci Guwop.
Yes.
Yeah,
that was my favorite. That was my favorite moment.
That stuck for sure. So, yeah, this is another super energetic tape. It's 10 minutes longer than the previous, but it doesn't really feel that long, honestly, for something that's almost the length of a movie. It really goes by quickly.
Very quickly, yeah.
Also, shout out to the Scarface song, which while I don't think is like a great song, I think it's a good song, and I like it that it is literally like Gucci Scarface. And then he also like does the I'm Scarface because I have a tattoo on my face or something like that. I just, the fourth wall breaking is
Scarface track called Scarface featuring Scarface.
Yeah, featuring Scarface, right? It's like when Kanye did featuring God or whatever the fuck, like it.
I am a god.
Featuring God, yes, and God is just like wailing.
Also, I really want to shout out "Spread the Word" because that's like Lex Luger's take on like a cloud rap type beat, and I have never heard anything like this beat quite before. I have never heard one like that again. Really, really hypnotic, weirdly menacing. I kind of wish that Lex did more like that at the time, but what can you do?
I feel like you heard that type of beat and going back and listening to this tape, it reminded me of a couple of songs off, and this is random, but it kind of reminded me of a few songs off like Pretty Girls Like Trap Music era 2 Chainz, with a little less menace, I would say, which again shows that a lot of this music was clearly ahead of its time, especially in this early 2010s era when it wasn't really appreciated outside of like rap blogs and obviously like, people that had been listening to Gucci for years. So that was my take from it.
The big feature that surprised me on here at the time, and in retrospect, it shouldn't have been a big surprise, is Jim Jones really goes in on his feature. I thought, and it's definitely out of his wheelhouse to be over a Luger beat, but this was not a period where you were really hearing Jim Jones like stand out on anything. Like, this was well after the Dipset peak and well before his like career revival laid on with like both Dipset Nostalgia and the Fraud album. So I really, Kansas, that's a great song, and just shows that she had cross regional respect and could bring out like great verses from unexpected places. So I mean, you have that too with Gucci always had the stuff like across the South type respect and could bring out legends like that too. So Scarface is less of a surprise. I seem to remember liking the Fab verse too, speaking of New York people. And they kind of have a similar arrogant punchline quality to them as well. And Fab wasn't too fallen off at this point.
Yeah. And more into what, Pat, you were talking about on the last tape. Again, just about the influence and like omnipresence of Gucci and who he worked with and whatnot. The producer list, for the most part, if you fast forward a couple years and you listen to like a Future tape or damn near any mixtape by like a hot rapper out of like Atlanta, the Mike Will, DJ Spins, like Detail, Sonny Digital, all this producer list is like a who's who of early to mid 2010s hip hop. Like, it's just, I didn't even realize it until I looked at the credit list.
Yeah, Young Chop, and I was actually going to say there's one tape that might have seemed like a lightning rounder that I actually kind of want to talk about a little bit later on that has a Young Chop beat on it. He definitely, that's part of him bringing in Keith too, is that he had an ear for Young Chop before anybody else. But he also has he brings in stuff from previous era too, with Drumma Boy and Shorty Red too. Who it's surprising that he works so much with, given their close association with his good pal Young Jeezy.
But Gucci has always been able to, in our last episode, where he started, in the mid 2000s, and at this point, at this stage in the early 2010s, where he's kind of transitioning and moving into a different stage of his career, he's kind of like a branch between two eras of hip hop. That's what makes him such a unique and special artist. Is that he seamlessly kind of transitions between two pretty different eras and sounds.
Yeah. Well put. The Verse Simmons song still sucks. That was the one thing about Gucci that I would never be able to stand, is that I don't know if this guy saved his life or whatever, but he was always sticking around and always instant skip.
He must have the best weed on the planet. I don't know how else he must have been around so much, or maybe he's just family. Like,
well, Duke was family. You don't see Duke on this tape. Like, come on.
Good point. By the way, I also really quick want to shout out "Don't Make No Sense," because Fabulous and 8 Ball on one song is just an absolute. I didn't know I didn't know I wanted that.
All right, Trap God. Should we move on to Trap God?
Yeah, which also has an amazing intro.
Yeah, the intro on this one actually ranks up, because it's an actual song, first of all. This one has a bolded intro, as it deserves to. This is, first of all, notable for having a lot of Waka on it, which the other ones did not, with the exception of, obviously, Walking Lick. But yeah, you get a good amount of Gucci Waka chemistry on here. Baby Wipes is fucking hilarious. In the grand of rap songs about wet wipes, such as Wet Wipes by Cameron. That's hilarious. My only real issue with this is, again, Verse Simmons back to back with another crappy feature in Kevin McCall. Not really.
Sorry, sometimes I forget that Kevin McCall was like a small thing, and I don't want to remember.
No. Yeah, that was and they're right back to back with each other too, in the dead ass middle. Like, I could really do without that. Oh wow, I gave this my review of this sucks. Don't read my review. It's not good. It's actually an 8, not a 6. I need to revise this review. But because really this is the most full-on aggressive of the 3, but because you get a lot of good collaborations on here. Like Meek before he was played out. You get another great Ross collaboration. Tons of Waka stuff, Future. It's probably the most Rolodexy of the 3, I would say.
Yeah.
And my comment about the producer list on the last one is like just as applicable, if not more. Side note, I think this is pretty notable because this was the first Metro production on any Gucci project. This is young Metro in 2012. By my count, that was his first one with Gucci, because he had done some OJ the Juice Man stuff before that. But I think this is the first time he did a Gucci beat. So obviously a fruitful collab for many years to come.
Oh my god, I completely forgot that fucking Kirko Bangs is on here.
Welcome to 2012.
Yes, 2012, baby.
Kirko Bangs.
Man, when I figured out that Kirko Bangs was a play on Kurt Cobain, I shook my head so fucking hard. Made me
I will say though, that one hit Kirko Bangs had, I still like that sometimes. Sometimes I still listen to that.
That is the most 2011 ass song you will ever hear.
It is, but that's like...
Yeah, I feel like I think of Mitt Romney when I hear that song. That's how 2011 works.
Drank in my cup.
Yeah, 2011, yep.
Good times. Girl, you know how much I really want some. I'm sorry, I'm just insanely nostalgic for that one fucking song in particular. I don't know why.
Shout out to Young Fresh having one of the most generic ass weak stereo names I can imagine. Like, yeah. Young Fresh.
He's young and he's fresh. What the fuck?
I mean, he gets right to the point, that's for sure.
Yeah, right? Like, he's young and he's fresh. Like, no. Also, shout out again for the intro, because this motherfucking tape starts on a Gautier sample, and
again, welcome to 2012.
The first time I listened to this tape, I thought the fucking Spotify, the Spotify version was broken and someone uploaded the wrong song. And then, like, after like 10 seconds of "this is the end of the story," Gucci comes in and I'm like, this is not happening. And it was happening, and it was great. Thank you, Gucci.
I mean, yeah, that is a tremendous, like, that hit me right in the heart because that's such a Dipset Heatmakers ass beat to start on, and that's absolutely my wheelhouse to hear. Like, yeah, and again, this has like such a great opening run too. I feel like everything up to the verse, at least the T-Pain song. I actually don't mind the T-Pain song. It's in and out quickly. I never really disliked T-Pain, to be completely honest. Like, sometimes he made like stuff that was overtly contemporary radio poppy, but I mean, in terms of that lane, I never thought he was that irritating, to be completely honest, even though he was super ubiquitous. I mean, the one song, and I don't know, I might step on some toes here. I still hate Got Money, but I mean, I know that that's a controversial opinion. I think that song has been kind of reclaimed as like a classic. I don't know. I've never liked that song, but overall, I think in terms of that hook slinger lane, T-Pain was better than his contemporaries. But it does start off the period of the tape that is like the, let's say, radio interlude, which I don't think a tape like this necessarily needed.
Yeah.
But
Got Money was,
Got
Money was everywhere when I was like a little kid.
I mean, it's literally if you're happy and you know what, clap your hand. It's literally if you're happy and you know what, clap your hand.
No, the hook really is that, but I don't even. Oh my god, I've heard that song so much. That just took me back to to those times.
Well, I mean, I guess that's your Kurt Cobain's moment, though. It's just the nostalgia bell rings so hard that you can't.
Right. Well, I don't even know if like I would say I like the song. It's just I remember hearing that like constantly, just because of the ubiquity.
Brightside effect, because apparently, like, I was looking at the comment box for Mr. Brightside, and apparently that's like the most popular song of all time with a certain age group. And I'm like, people.
No, it's very it's very popular. And I think it's definitely transcended eras because I think I've said this before in maybe the Discord or whatever, but when I was in college, damn near like every party you went to, there was at least one moment where someone played that shit, usually toward the end of the night, but like it was everywhere. It was at sporting events that I covered, like you name it, that song was playing. So, yeah.
Somehow single out that became the defining song of a generation. Like,
well, it's such a funny album because like half the album is like nothing music, and then the other half is like songs that are like obscenely popular.
Yeah. By the way, before I forget that, we were just clowning on the Young Fresh name, but I just wanna say again, like, rest in peace to Bankroll Fresh, and
100%.
I hope he's doing good where he's at now.
Right.
I mean, just absolutely. I mean, it's one of the many things I've lamented like over the last few years, but that was
fucking.
That was senseless, absolutely senseless death. And The Life of a Hot Boy mixtape is a great mixtape. So
there's definitely going to be some sad notes to this episode, and
100%.
Yeah, but this is a very good tape. I mean, I think it's probably my least favorite of the three, but it's still great hype music. My only real issue, again, is that it has some sequencing issues by sticking the 1, 2, 3 quote unquote radio songs in the middle. And again, I don't mind the T-Pain song. It's just the other two suck. It's the most Waka you're going to get out of the three. The production's great. Gucci's great. I actually really don't mind Birdman with Gucci. I think Birdman actually has more chemistry with Gucci than he ever did with Wayne, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because there's always this weird dynamic with Birdman and Wayne, like, for obvious reasons. And part of it is like that Dre Eminem dynamic where it's like clearly Wayne writes bars for Birdman that are above his ability, or you have Birdman just saying dumb shit where Wayne's wrapping circles around him, one or the other, and it doesn't work. Whereas if you have Birdman just being like one-dimensional and like hand rub bars with Gucci, it kind of works. Like they're just being arrogant assholes together. That kind of is better.
And you always hear the hands rubbing. It's amazing. Like, even that you can just hear him in the studio, like, This one is Gladys, boy.
Shout out to resident Birdman GIF hand rub enthusiast Ryan, who will never miss an opportunity to post Birdman GIFs in the chat.
Those are welcome compared to some of the other GIFs Ryan posts in the chat.
I was going to say, I feel like that's the content that he brings that everybody can appreciate. So yeah, least of the three, still great, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree.
And in 2013, he delivered again with Trap God 2.
Yeah.
This is a good.
It's good, but it is worse than the first one, but not by much.
It's got some filler, no question.
That's the biggest problem. It has more filler.
Why does this Wiz Khalifa song show up like 30 times on Gucci tapes? Like, I got so sick of hearing this fucking Wiz collab. Like, I feel like it shows up at least 3 times. Like, it's going to show up on State versus Roderick Davis 2, I believe. And I guess it's just because it's like Wiz, and Wiz was super hot at the time. I do not remember the Wayne feature at all. Actually, now that I'm looking at it. But I'm assuming it was another feature from this period.
Oh, so I just gotta say, like,
2 Wayne features. Holy shit!
Yeah. Also, like, shout out to Roulette 1017. I don't know who you are, but you sure are here. You definitely are here.
Dirty.
Yeah. We had features from those guys, and we had a Lloyd feature. A Lloyd feature.
Or Lloyd on a Gucci tape for sure.
It wasn't that bad. It was decent.
We have a very early Young Thug feature on Breakdancing, which I kind of want to revisit because that sounds amazing.
And
yeah, this was what? This was 1017 era Young Thug, right? Like 1017 Thug, yeah.
Style yet or not, because I find very early Thug to be very hit and miss, so it could be great, it could be terrible. And there was also the period where he was just literally aping Wayne, so I don't know.
Well, this is I think post.
He's also on Miracle.
This is
not a cover of the Wu-Tang song, the worst Wu-Tang song of all time.
I believe this is post. The aping Wayne stuff was more on the like I Came From Nothing series, which was like a year or two prior.
Yeah,
I think
Carter 6, which was obviously a concept, but
right.
Yeah.
Breakfast.
We can't give Patrick ammunition to slander Barter 6, so we got to move.
This is the most unpopular opinion I have, maybe among the community, is that I don't like Barter 6, and I still don't. I've revisited it and I still don't care for it.
Hey, nothing wrong with the opinions. Like I'm not, I won't hate.
This was not when I had time. Oh, shout out to Big Bank as well. Yeah, I don't want to revisit this. It has an interesting looking track list, but I don't know if it's going to really hold up.
It's fine. Like it is a good Gucci tape, but like it's above average Gucci tape. But it's just not as good as the 3 that came before.
We have an unqualified 5 from Nodima at the time on When I Was Water Whipping.
Yeah, and that song is one of the best songs on the whole trilogy.
It's a Luger beat.
Well, the intros on all these, on the last like 3 or 4 mixtapes, have been some of the best songs that he did.
He also gives the Young Thug song a 2, and that's a Thug over Luger. So I don't know. Maybe he was like me and not sold on Thug at the time. I can do that as well.
Yeah. I don't even know his opinions on Thug. I'd have to go back and
I would have
scout through the
on Thug, and I wonder if
before I forget it, if I am completely correct, then DJ Squeaky is on here. I don't know if and it's like seeing DJ Squeaky on a 2013 Gucci tape is absolutely mind blowing. Yeah,
it's almost like almost 20 years too late. Not too late, but just because
mix a lot on a 2020 DJ on a Gucci tape, that'd be weird.
Yeah, it's just like.
Because the Squeaky records were what in the early mid 90s were a lot of the cassettes, yeah. But he had the Legacy album, which was pretty solid, and then he had another solo album, but that was like in 2000, yeah. So, geez.
I mean, That's the thing about Gucci is, I mean, eventually it would just be his handlers who were picking people, but he always would just come out with some weird you never know who he would collaborate with. That's one of the things that's very charming about him. So, and I think
absolutely, and probably just because he kind of grew up in that turn of the century, early 2000s era. So then once he started making music, he had that, and then he was never afraid to branch out and rope in new artists that he thought had potential, or producers that thought he had potential. That's why he was with Metro so early, and Future, Young Thug, etc., etc. So, a theme for this episode is going to be, wow, look at all the, influence Gucci had. Look at how helpful he was in the advancement of the careers of some of the biggest rap artists of the last decade, I feel like that's a
rap, but not a horrible human being.
Right.
I don't know. I just wanted to kind of take a sideways shot at Coach K there. I don't know. But it's in nurturing talent.
Right. Yeah, Coach K, we can leave both Coach K's out of this, actually.
I was trying to make a Duke joke there, actually. But, because we have Duke.
Right, yeah. No.
You saw where I was.
That would have been I got you, Patrick. I got you.
I think this is lost on Sophia, by the way.
Yeah, a uniquely American thing.
I'm going to say the
college athletics. Yeah.
Coming up. But,
Oh yeah, and speaking of my, constant referencing to, Gucci and his involvement with Future and a lot of other artists at the turn of the decade, here is their first collab tape, full length. Oh,
this is Scooter. This isn't Future.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong tape.
Yeah,
wrong tape.
Speaking of holding L's, there is a Wale feature on here called Pass Around, which I'm assuming is some song that hates women. I did not listen to it.
Yeah, it is terrible. The thing is, I don't mind Young Scooter. He has his moments. He has his songs. They are not on here.
No.
This is one of the most faceless sounding things Scooter has ever done, which is sad because, again, I actually like him, but but at the same time, if Gucci asks you, hey, you want to make a mixtape with me, you don't say no.
Yeah, no. This one necessarily because I have not heard it, but it does have that. We got a Ransom Flocka feature on here. Thunder in it, it just has from on its face looks like one of those afternoon sessions of somebody was there, Gucci was working. That's about it.
Yeah, and Big Bank is back. And this song actually was a fucking single from this tape. This was a single. I don't know why.
I haven't heard the tape, but my contribution to the Scooter discourse is that the best Scooter song is Street Lottery with Bun B. That's my Young Scooter take. Yeah, that's a really, really good song.
Yeah, I think Scooter solidly just I don't want to say
fine
value, but it's he doesn't really add he neither adds nor detracts for me in general.
He's okay.
I won't say instant skip versus Simmons, but he's fine. Whatever. East Atlanta Memphis is next, and it's very annoying because 2 issues on Spotify, 2 issues on RYM. I listened to the one that has no spaces in the title. That was on Spotify.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy this. Okay. It's not... It does live up to the title, I will say, in that it is definitely one of... It's 360, I will say. I feel like it has that vibe to it. It could be better for what it's going for, and certainly neither of their best work, especially considering where Dolph would go from here. But I enjoyed it. I listened to it at work. It passed the time for about an hour, and I feel like... first of all, I don't know the difference between the issues. I have to go back and look. I think it's just a different track sequencing. I don't think there are any different tracks on it. The thing about it is, it's definitely, for somebody, especially if you read the autobiography, Gucci's very influenced by 3-6, but I don't think a lot of his projects really carry that across. And I think this is the one where you can hear him trying to go for both a Juicy J flow and a DJ Paul feel to the production.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for that, you kind of expect a little more out of it, but you also don't get too many projects where he full on goes for that. And he and Dolph have a lot of charisma together.
They do.
Is this the only project they do together, or just as the? I mean, obviously, Felix Brothers is them, but there's also other stuff going on there. But I think this is their only them two collaborating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, young Dolph.
Obviously, elephant in the room. Rest in peace to Dolph.
Yeah. I mean, just like one of the more effortlessly charismatic rappers of the last like 10 plus years.
He does have one here that stuck with me because it's just so funny and stupid, where he says unlimited blowjobs, like it's like unlimited credits in a video game. Which is just like such a stupid brag. Yeah. Really hard.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear this one, but I was surprised because at this point it was like very early in Young Dolph's career. Like this was like one of his first projects, I think, because his emergence was more in like the 2014, 2015, like and onward. So another, again, grabbing a guy early, and then Young Dolph went on to have his own label and be, pretty influential in the revival of Memphis on like a popular, scale, ultimately ushering in like, Key Glock, who is now kind of taking that mantle, and also is like his literal cousin. So that helps too. But yeah, rest in peace, phenomenal rapper, and I love a bunch of his projects.
Yeah.
And after this was it Trap Back 2 or was it an album? Am I missing?
No, after this was Trap Back 2. Yeah. It's Trap Back 2 is a little bit of a sad case because like you see that name, Trap Back 2, and like the first Trap Back is a classic, right? And then you listen to this, and it's like not even remotely as good.
Yeah,
it's fine. I mean, it's fine. And also, funnily enough, this tape was released on the same day as East Atlanta, Memphis.
Well, I think you can put that on I just noticed Holiday hosted both of these. I have it's in my collection. I have either heard this when it came out or I have not heard it. That's how memorable it is. I have no memory of it one way or another, but yeah, Holiday hosted both. I wanted to give a shout out to DJ Holiday for not annoying me on East Atlanta Memphis, by the way, which is rare for him. I'm sure he reminded me what season it was. Spoiler alert, it was holiday season.
Yeah.
Holiday season.
Holiday season, and then it has like a bunch of like alarms or sirens in the background,
echoes, whatnot. But yeah, this at the very least, I do want to listen to this for James Worthy. The long tradition of Gucci tracks named after basketball players. He might have had one or two mixtapes named after an old basketball player too. I don't know. Maybe Sophia remembers. I might have. I believe this French Montana track shows up on like 5 tapes done with her. Yeah, I don't know if thirsty is spelled improperly on the tape itself, but it's spelled improperly as thirsty on the RYM list. Somebody should that blunder. Yeah, I got nothing.
The good songs on here are good. I mean, Don't Deserve It is good and it has a good Wooda Kid verse. That Pack is good, featuring Travis Porter for some reason, but hey.
That's very mid 2000s, early 2010s feature there. Porter.
But the song with Quan, the song with Rich Homie Quan, there is a reason why these two went so good together, and I think this is one of their first collabs, I think, and it's just very good.
I mean, the biggest tragedy of Rich Homie Quan stopped going in. Lied to us.
Yeah, he promised he would never stop going in, and he told us if he ever stops going in, ask RR. But yeah.
Yeah, I am just hack jokes because I never listened to it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Really mediocre cover too. Clearly, just like some.
Yeah, it looks like very low quality, like not of the same caliber as.
I do like Gucci's half tucked in shirt on the cover though.
There's always little quirks that will get you.
I'm sad that I did not get to the next one though, Money Pounds Ammunition, because
I was gonna say, speaking of covers.
Okay, first of all, the cover art is super low effort, like zero effort cover art.
Speaking of covers, speaking of Peewee Longway for a second, I saw a tweet the other day that was I'll have to send it in the Discord if I find it again, but it was a picture of like an M&M coffin, a coffin in the shape of a blue M&M. And someone quote tweeted, it was like, "No, Peewee Longway."
Oh my god.
It was so fucking funny. I have to find it.
The black M&M. Like, yeah, I wish I'd gotten. Oh wait, I accidentally got 0.5 in this one. I do not want to do that. Yeah, I wish I'd gotten to this one because it gets really high marks from some.
Oh yeah,
I gave it 3.5, Sophia, but it looked interesting to me.
You want to know the funny thing about this? You want to know what's funny about this tape?
The fact that there's a track called "Car Smell" with Rashomi Kwan, which I really want to know what "Car Smell" is.
No, it's the point. It's the fact that he's on like.
Is the smell weed or is the smell pussy? That's, I guess, the question.
Gucci is only on this tape for like 3 songs.
Oh, so it's basically a Peewee tape.
It's a Peewee tape, yeah. It's a good Peewee tape. I like Peewee a lot, but
So he would started the trend essentially that we would get for a while. Like, so is he in jail at this point? I guess is the question.
No, he isn't yet.
Because we will get a trend here where Gucci's doing quote unquote collab tapes that are really just glorified cameos from him with his artists. Because I did want to say this when you were talking about him launching artists. At this point, he was really into A&Ring Peewee, Scooter, Thug, and Dolph. Like that was essentially his roster at this point.
Right.
That makes sense. He would kind of do this as like a half and half tape. It's not really a half and half tape. But we have Breakfast with Waka is rehashed from a previous tape on here. So.
Nah. But yeah. This tape is I mean, again, I like Peewee. I like this is not on a level with like the blue M&M series and state of the art, but yeah, if you're looking for a good Peewee tape, listen to it. I just don't. Yeah, that's just.
Right, well, it's not good.
No Gucci.
Yeah.
I mean, we got
no Gucci.
I do want to talk about is the trilogy. So yeah, I mean, if it doesn't Gucci, it ain't Gucci.
Oh yeah.
I feel like there's a track called "Stuffed Crust." I didn't know there was a rap song devoted to one of the most disgusting flavors of pizza, though. I really don't understand the appeal of stuffed crust pizza. Cheese is on the pizza already. Get it the fuck out of the crust.
Yep.
So Gucci.
It's the devil's invention.
So Gucci waged war on sobriety with lean, Molly, and gas.
Well, was this post Trap House 3 or am I?
No. Oh wait, no. Trap House 3 was the I'm sorry. Yeah, I believe Trap House 3 was prior. Because that was the album and these were the mixtapes. I think Trap House 3 was I think
chronologically.
Yes, I actually wrote the chronology and then I broke it in my intro because I had such a joke there and my zinger got ahead of the actual facts. So, Trap House 3 first. First of all, I would like to formally apologize to the world because I gave this a 4 out of 10 at first. The fuck is wrong with me? This is an
question.
You're on this podcast to rectify your mistakes. So.
I actually rectified my review. Like you can see my review was like I crossed the shit out and I'm like, what the fuck was wrong? Wow, this is the shittiest, wrongest review I've ever written. First of all, that's wrong because I originally gave "I'm Not Racist" by Joyner Lucas a 4 out of 5. That was the wrongest review I've ever written.
Wait, I don't even remember that.
Oh, you can look at that review. I actually kept the review itself for posterity to shame myself, but I do say that shittiest, wrongest review I've ever written. This is the second shittiest, wrongest review I've ever written. This is an outstanding, and the title track is maybe the most menacing thing that either he or Ross has ever done. That song is just goddamn beast. This comes out with maybe the best intro track he's ever done.
This is it's an easy 5-star song without a question. I also love the Chain song right after. Use Me. That's what it's called.
Right.
Yeah, I love that song, and the production on this is like pretty consistently sick throughout.
Yeah.
I think go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just like overall the from the consistency, the production. I don't think like any of the features do a bad job. Like on some of the tapes that we had just been talking about, there was like, oh, there's a lull here, there's a lull here. Not really a lull on here for almost 70 minutes. Like it's pretty consistently rock solid, at least in my opinion.
Especially for a Gucci album.
Yeah, and this was one that I listened to a lot of when I was like first getting into like Gucci. Like when I first like realized that there were so many mixtapes and albums to offer. This was one of the first ones that I heard, and it definitely left a deep impression on me. So yeah, I would still say it's a great tape to this day.
Yeah, I disagree on one point, is that the Wiz track is on here, which I guess is fine for what it is, but I don't think it fits the overall like menacing aesthetic.
That's true.
It's like a radio song, and I would switch it maybe with the Keef song, which is one of their best collabs, Darker, which I love that fucking song. I feel like that fits better. I feel like that would fit better. And if you're going to have the Wiz song, you can put it in like the Verse Simmons spot, which thank God he's not on here. But you could put maybe the Wiz song on the back end and put Keef up front. Beyond that, I have no complaints about anything. I think this is fucking great.
Also, there's Hell Yes on here, which we don't get many singing songs from Gucci.
With good reason.
With good reason, because he has the voice of a bad.
We're going to talk about certain singing songs later. I think that you recommended that I talked about in our Discord chat. We're going to talk about one time he sings.
Medicine.
A certain song named after a German icon.
Yeah. Also, gotta say, Dipped in Gold is amazing, and it has I Heard with originally Quan, which has one of the most infamous Gucci lines of all time, when he's like, she's on her knees like she ain't got knees. And then followed by, she sucked dick like she ain't got teeth.
Okay, so I tried to make a point at the beginning of the episode that he's smarter than he gets credit for. Why are you trying to undermine my thesis?
He can do both, okay? He can do both. He can have a little bit of both.
Well, shout out to friend of the podcast, Paul Barben, who once rapped, "It's so smart and so stupid at the same time." Yeah, but honestly, there's a murderer's row of great stuff on here. The Use Me, Trap House 3,
Doctor
Body, Darker, some of his best, just remarkable. And
Muddy, Off the Leash.
Just
much good shit.
And also, nearly 70 minutes shares this with Trap Back and I'm Up, does not feel its length. Really doesn't.
No question. And like
bring 4 and 5, which I think we're going to kind of breeze by a little bit when they come up. I think it should have been a trilogy. And
this is like the centerpiece of it to me. Like this is the best of the Trap House.
Absolutely, like Trap.
I would say fairly easily.
I mean, but it's so fascinating how the Trap House projects like represent different parts of his career.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, and also they represent different parts of his career, and I also think that this kind of presages or predicts certain things that he's going to do later. Like, I think you can hear where he's going to go with Big Gucci Sosa and Cage Bird Sings, that sort of thing, like the Keef influence. Like, you hear that darkness, and like obviously Darker. You hear like the production place he's going to go. I mean, and also if you read the autobiography, you see where we have hindsight to know where he was going in life, prison. Like the paranoia is there. Like, it just feels dark and claustrophobic in a way that some of his previous stuff didn't. Shout out to one of the more recent reviews out of awesomely named mutual Jar Jar Nip 69, who makes a great point. The orchestral wah sound on tracks like I Heard is so awesome. He's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Like, I can't believe I had this at a fucking 4. I was an idiot. Like, like, what the fuck was wrong with me?
Be ashamed, please. Thank you.
I am. I'm quite ashamed. So, but then he took a very, I would say, I don't want to say hard left or right, because I feel like this came from a different place than the trilogy he's about to get to with World War III. Because I feel like you can kind of see some of the darker stuff in the other ones, but those were probably from different sessions.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything else about Trap House 3, or can we move on to the World War III trilogy?
No, I don't have anything other than... what I had said of Trap House 3 just like made a deep impression on me when I was first getting into the Gucci back catalog, and I think it's still pretty excellent throughout.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to check out a Gucci album, like a Gucci album from before prison, it's this one. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a good place to start.
Yeah, I would say that, I mean, State versus Radric Davis has certain stuff on it that's great, but I feel like this represents him more as an artist than that does. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's more consistent.
I feel like it's a more unified artistic statement than State versus Radric Davis.
Absolutely.
It's doing more interesting things on a production level, too. Although I've come to appreciate State versus Radric Davis more with time, there's definitely stuff on there that are lulls that you don't get lulls like that on here. Anyway, moving on. So Gucci's War on Sobriety.
Gucci's War on Sobriety. Before we begin, if any of you think that lean, Molly, or what was the third one? Gas?
Yes.
Yeah. If you think these tapes are about the drugs, I have bad news for you. But
yeah, I made this actually, and I think I mentioned it in my review. Yeah. This is not Gucci keeping on a theme. You're supposed to take the drugs. It's not about the drugs. You take the drugs. Then you listen to the tape. So.
Yeah. Lean is good. Like, I like it. It's a bit more shiny and sparkly on the production side of things. There's a lot of Thug, or not a lot, but it feels like there's a lot of Thug on here. Because he just shows up and does what the fuck ever on Ecstasy Pill, and that one song stayed with me far longer than most of the other stuff on here.
I love that song. Yeah,
it's weird in that I feel like Lean has stuff that Molly should have on it. Like, I've never taken Molly. I took Lean once. I probably shouldn't. Like, I realized I liked it too much, so I stayed away. I mean, the podcast official position on Lean is we don't fuck with that because that's the only reason that Yams died. So we don't fuck with that. But it feels like the Lean tracks, like if you're doing a tape about Lean, it should be slower. It should be more like a screw tape. The Molly tape should be where like the shinier stuff is, and it feels like this has a lot of like shiny, upbeat type stuff, EDM almost.
Mm-hmm.
It does have Activist on it, which I think is probably that's my favorite song on here, I would say. Which I guess it does, and that also has the hook that seems most appropriate to the quote unquote theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that Activist is probably I think Activist, Ecstasy Pill, and
Pill's just weird. I mean, years later, still do not know where I stand on it. It's interesting. I'll give it that.
Well, it comes right after that amazing Future track too. So
and Birds of a Feather is a very bitter way to end this album.
It is. But yeah.
Like, I
mean, this is top 5 Gucci, in my opinion.
Really? Overall?
Yeah.
Top 5? I don't. It's fine. It's totally fine, but it's not like I would not make this.
I mean, okay, like I guess I would have to go
here almost. Like,
I would have to go through it again, but like, obviously Chicken Talk, obviously like Burprint,
Mr. Zone 6, Everybody Looking, like
everybody looking's definitely up there. I mean, I would say like DropTopWop is a good contender too.
About House 3. I put Trap House 3 ahead of this.
Trap House 3 is a good contender. I mean,
5. We already have 5.
Oh, I think it's like at the level of some of those personally. Like I think the consistency is what I like so much about this, and how it, like, for the era, I think it has like pretty elite production throughout for the era, which kept me locked in on it throughout its runtime way back when I first heard it, and I'll still return to it. Like I had mentioned, the song with Chains is one that I used to listen to a good amount. You talked about the closing run already. Also, shout out to Honorable C-Note, which he had prominent credits on here, and I don't exactly know when he started getting credits, but it couldn't have been like more than a year, like a couple years before this. So that's another.
Started getting credits around the same time.
Yeah, I think I know he did like some 2 Chainz stuff in like 2012 or something, but yeah, this is like I would say, I think I would put this in like the back half of like a Gucci top 5, like 4th or 5th. It isn't on like the level of his best stuff, but I think it's like just below that, and Sophia put it pretty well in that you just get like, it's like Gucci comfort food. So yeah, I'd agree. And I think also an underrated song is the Peewee track Cinderella. I like that one a lot. So yeah, I'll stand on it.
Also, like Bobby V is on here. I'm just always amazed to see people like goddamn Bobby Valentino, like, still on here. Like,
that's a real deep cut weed carrier to pull out of your pocket. Is like Ludacris's hook slinger guy, like from like the DTP hook slinger from like 2006. And you're like, yeah, let's put him on there, sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And a mixtape surrounded by your contemporaries, I guess, and Travis Porter.
And Travis Porter again.
Because he has to be here, of course. Yeah.
I think I'm a little less high on this than you guys, but I still enjoyed it, like, for sure. I just don't think it has the same amount of care. I mean, the production muscle's there for sure. I think production was a big selling point for these because obviously they put the producers front and center on the tapes. Mm-hmm. Also, shout out to the old school No Limit Almost. Why can't I remember the name of the people who came up with the fucking cover art for everything?
Pen and Pixel.
Yeah, like the pen and pixel style fonts for everything. I thought that was a cool choice for everything, even though they don't quite have like the amount of lens flare and absurdity to them. But that was definitely what he was going for with the font. So we had our lean. Now we're gonna take some Molly.
Also decent, but
I like this one.
On this, so much money, however, is 5 stars and
all day.
Yeah.
Kidnapped is also very good.
Long Time's really good too.
And A to Z, because Dolph and Pewee on a song is also like really nice.
It's just like how Gucci, Dolph, and Pewee on a song is like charisma overload, like personality overload.
Shout outs to Phil on the last track.
Featuring Phil.
Shout out Phil.
I think this has some highlights on it, but I think it's probably the weakest of the 3 overall.
It's just decent. Yeah. Like, it's good.
Even though I think I actually rated Gas under Molly, I think with retrospect, Gas has Waka on it. I'm already talking about Gas. But I mean, I think So Much Money aside from Activist, So Much Money is probably my favorite of the 3. Favorite song on any of the 3. Just absolutely remarkably well done. Just made me think Big Gucci Sosa was going to be better than it is, because we'll get to it eventually, and it's good, but considering who's involved, I expect it to be a little better.
Yeah. Yeah, and when it comes to, can we go to gas?
We might as well. There's really not much to talk about with this.
Yeah. It's also good, but yeah.
I like all of the Metro songs on Molly, I will say, of which there are about like half dozen, something like that. I think all those beats are good. And then we talked about So Much Money already, but yeah, that one in a long time. So no, I think it's pretty consistent overall. The more I look at the track list, but yeah, we can.
I absolutely need to swap these ratings and write better reviews, because Gas is the most. First of all, I think it's the most interesting of the three because of the beats are the weirdest, which makes me think it should have probably been on Molly. Because something like Christmas Tree and Embalming Fluid, those aren't weed beats. Those are Molly beats. Like, those are just very busy, like, shifty beats. And also having Waka on something. This isn't like Waka's EDM period, too. I don't know why he's on, like, the weed songs. Like, the weed songs should be laid back. These are not laid back songs.
Yeah.
He has his wife on a song, which is interesting.
Yes.
She doesn't even have an RYM page. I think
the two songs with Dolph toward the end are really good. Rainbow Colors and
Rainbow.
Awesome. Rainbow Colors is amazing.
Rainbow Colors is super good and crams a lot into a short running time. The only thing that's why did you do Bill Cosby skit?
No, so okay, let's just keep it going. Christmas Tree is amazing. Embalming Fluid is amazing.
Embalming Fluid's nuts. Embalming Fluid's top 5 Waka Gucci. Yeah, that's so
no question.
Probably in terms of like the Ransom Waka features, probably the best tape for those, like in terms of just like getting those on like one place.
Yeah, it's also sad because it's like
too, because I don't think he was really on good terms with OJ here, but like where he pulled that OJ verse from, that's a lot of fun too.
Yeah, but this is a time where he wasn't really like on good terms with anybody. Like, this was right around the time when he was having his...
like, hold up in the Brick Factory studio, paranoid as shit. Like, yeah. So, I enjoy this a lot. It is a little long. Perhaps he could have lost, I don't know, off the top of my head, Bill Cosby skit. But, yeah, it's a good... I feel like he could have probably just done... I mean, he loves to do things in threes, so we had to do 3, but... You could have probably taken the best stuff off of Molly and Gas and made a great album. Because I don't think he really keeps to even, like, the shit you're supposed to do the drugs on. Like, he doesn't even keep to that, really. Because, like I said, this stuff is, like, really... A lot of the best stuff on here feels like it's stuff you would take high-energy drugs to.
Yeah.
I would say the hit rate is a little higher on Molly, but I think the highest highs are on Gas, if we compared the two personally.
I feel like Gas is almost like a content dump at the end. Like, it's 10 minutes longer.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's still decent.
Oh yeah, no, I would still say it's a very solid mixtape.
And none of these are bad, by the way. Like, none of these are bad, which is remarkable considering how much content he dumped on the market in one day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, the other thing is, like, with the producer tags right up front, like, he kind of just... I think it was more about just getting the producer shine and putting all the producer stuff in one place versus actually keeping any kind of, like, quote-unquote theme.
Yeah.
And for being, like, essentially 60 new songs, like, they are pretty varied between the 3 tapes. So that's an impressive aspect about it, I would say.
What would you say is the best track out of all the trilogy? So Much Money or Activist or what?
I'd probably say Activist, but you could pick a couple, and I wouldn't blink. Activist is just my favorite.
Yeah, I'd say So Much Money, but Embalming Fluid is also very high on the list.
Yeah, true.
And they're all from each of the 3 top contenders are all from 3 different tapes, which speaks to good sequencing. That, you know what I mean? So. All right. Anything else, or are we going to move on to Is Diary of a Trap God, or do we have any? Yeah, Diary. Oh no, Trust God. Real quick.
No. Trust God Fuck 12 was released after Diary.
With Rich Homie Quan, which I have not listened to, so that would be unless
Trust God is after Diary.
Yeah, I have not listened to that one.
The Trust God is after Diary.
Oh.
Yes it is.
Yeah.
Yes it is. Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Diary of a Trap God. Before we really get into it, for the people listening, this is the last thing released by Gucci before he went into jail.
And boy, does it sound good.
Yup. This is garbage. This is not good.
Yeah,
this is bad.
Hey, this is an unhinged ass album. All you really need to know about this album is it has a track called Pussy Wet featuring Marilyn.
Yep. Yes.
And first off, fuck Marilyn Manson, but like
fuck Marilyn forever.
But it's like Gucci invited him and wanted him to take it seriously, but Marilyn Manson was like, "Oh, this is a joke, right?" And then he started rapping, and I never want to hear this dickhead rap again. Thank you.
Having Marilyn Manson and E40 on your album is like polar opposites.
Also, somehow, again, I've spoken at length somehow on multiple episodes about the song Pablo, but the song Pablo is like, I love Gucci, I love E40, but that song just for Pablo. It's just the dumbest earworm shit ever. You have Plies sounding like he will never ever get his constipation done. Like never. You have Akon, like, and the thing about it is, this is absolutely an album that a lot of money was thrown. You have that fucking Wiz song again, by the way. It's just, oh god, it's just a fucking money sink album by a man at the end, clearly at the frayed end of his rope. It's fascinating and it sucks.
Yeah. The only decent songs on here are like
I think the last two are actually good songs.
The first two and the last two, yeah. The opening makes you think
on
it
here,
could be decent.
Like, you really are into listening to sexual abusers do shit. You've got some sexual abusers on here, so you got at least two.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. Fuck this album.
Yeah, fuck it. If you keep Decapitated, keep Me, keep Cold Hearted, keep Realist Ever Lived, and keep all these bitches, and the rest is history. Okay, moving on. Trust God, fuck 12.
Sorry, moving on. Trust God, fuck 12. And fuck
yeah, first thing released after Gucci is in prison, and it's a compilation tape. It's a compilation tape of everything he and Quan did together, and it's fine. They had good chemistry. There's not a lot of bad shit on here, but there's also not a lot of stuff that I would like openly recommend. Ordinary Gangsta is cool. Mama We Rich is cool. Bankroll is cool. Yeah.
Now, I can't say that I've listened to this, so I have nothing to add. The cover art is super lazy. I will say the cover art's
yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible.
This is not a good period. These couple for Gucci cover arts.
All right.
Yeah, we can probably just move on from here.
Young Thugga, Main LaFleur.
At the end of 2013.
Oop. No, Cage Bird was the end of the year. Yeah, you're right, Patrick. I think.
Yeah, we skipped.
Yeah. Okay.
We actually skipped the ish album that was in the wake of Diary of a Trap God. I mean, better than Diary of a Trap God, but
it's good.
I mean, honestly, interesting as I thought. Now that I look at it, it does have a song that should be way better than it is in Jackie Chan, but just very distracting ad-libs. Very distracting. Now that I look at it, there's really not much. I thought this would be something more to talk about, but not really.
No, there's not a lot of, like, interestingly enough, this tape doesn't have a lot of lowlights except for Ice Cold, which is Gucci in full. But a girl, I'm gonna seduce you mode.
Yeah, right.
I do not want from Gucci. Thank you.
With him and Verse Simmons trying to get. We also have him saying the word butt naked, which is funny for a second, but then it's like, I don't want to hear a song based around it. We have him doing the most obvious double entendre on Birdman. You know, like, guess what that's about. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
You know, this one's fine. Like, it's better than Diary of a Trap God, but it's also in its own way less interesting. But I don't really want to hear either ever again, to be honest. Like, there's enough, like, when there's so much other better Gucci music out there, not really time for it.
It's
good cover art though. This is the only one with cover art that I actually like enjoyed.
Yeah, it's nice.
But yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
Then afterwards, yeah, Young Thugga Mane LaFleur, we went over this. It's not much it's not much to talk about. It's fine.
You can kind of hear Young Thug like slowly figuring it out though. On here, I just revisited like a couple songs because I've only heard it once. So the other day I played a few songs, and you could tell that like his creative, like his super creative like peak period was coming, but he hadn't quite like reached it yet. At least that was my takeaway from it.
No, it is. It is. That is the main takeaway. But yeah, now we are
love affair with acronyms on the White Album. No relation.
Why hate? Instead, take everything. It's
Gucci looks very comfortable on this album cover, I will say. He looks really comfortable, adorable. I don't really have much of a memory of this one beyond. It was fine.
It was okay.
All these things were like scrimmages, I would like to say. Like, to go back to my extremely popular Coach K analogy that went over very well. He's just doing scrimmages with his like artists on these things. And I think if he was more lucid and less into like content pumping mode, like some of this stuff, like you get the one or two good tracks put out on more curated mixtapes. But since he was in jail and wanted to keep his name out there, we have stuff like this and the later color albums that are going to come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like this tape is mostly interesting for people being on here called OGD and Jose Guapo and Duke is on here. That's nice.
Shout outs to Jose Guapo though. But nothing much to see here one way or another, I would say.
Yeah. Then the next thing, like for the listeners, this is like deep in his label. Does what the fuck ever with anything they have from Gucci. Trap House 4 is it's fine. This is when most of the snippets 1017 had from Gucci were still fresh, so it's still very much off that time. There's a great song with Chief Keef in here, Top in the Trash. Jerk House with Young Scooter and Fredo Santana are great. Spit in Your Face is good. K-Camp is on here.
Oh
yes, who has to be like on a milk carton somewhere at this point. I mean, I remember the K-Camp XXL freshman.
Wait, he was on a freshman list?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. He got the push. He got the label push.
I just remember him being on like one Currency tape. Like I think he was on Bourbon Street Secrets or one of those. Yeah, he was. It was
probably a mid 2010s.
Yeah, it was like 2015, 2016. Yeah.
Yeah, K-Camp is a classic. K-Camp is a classic mid 2010s artist that kind of was from like a bygone era of artists that used to be able to get popular because of like, the label pushing and putting him on XXL lists and stuff like that. But he was not made for that period of rap when there was like this renaissance of actually people still aren't going to give a fuck about your mid artist.
I got my Currency alliteration wrong. It was Canal Street Confidential, which was his quote unquote radio album. So that makes sense.
That does make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I recall zero things about K-Camp's entire career. I was just making whenever Sophia was trying to get me, I was just making a joke about Kevin McCall showing up again.
Yeah.
K-Camp had what, like one song, right, Sophia? I don't know if you. I don't even remember.
Is it cut her off?
Yeah. Yes.
That was one, right? Yeah. Then he also, for some reason, he showed up on a Big Crit tape at some point.
Yeah, that was a tough look for Big Crit.
Big Crit had a lot of time in his career.
Yeah.
It's been rough if you've really been like riding for Big Crit. I feel like I don't think you're going to get that Big Crit episode. By the way, if you're looking for it, I don't think that's your future. I
would have been really into a Big Crit episode in like 2015.
Yeah, not so much in 2023.
No.
Before I forget it, there's one song I still have to note about Trap House 4. It's Bum Bum, where Gucci does the drama boy.
Does he do the Nance the famous beat or whatever? The Nancy
No. It's his take on the drama boy, the Christmas song.
Oh, Gucci does love doing this stuff. He'll do this much later with the Gucci Coming For Ya. He loves doing that thing where he's like nursery rhyme type shit. Gucci do bum. Now I want to hear it. Now I actually want to listen to this. It's gonna be hilarious. But
yeah, the Trap House 4 is.
It sounds. I have no desire to actually listen to this whole tape though. It sounds
fine.
It sounds mid. I know Top in the Trash because it showed up on other stuff and it's a great song.
Top in the trash.
Yeah, but we're fully at this point into Gucci's label parsing out the scraps. Like we're starting to get there. Although there will be some gems though. Like is Felix Brothers next?
Yeah, Felix Brothers is next. That's a good one.
It's surprisingly solid. Yeah, I mean, part of it is that we have people who are not in jail contributing, but it's a fun tape, I would say. I mean, we have
Also,
OJ around. Like, it's always fun to see OJ around because you never know where those two stand with each other. Like, I never can tell if those are like Ransom versus like the Flocka thing, or if they're actually cool again.
Yeah, you never know. But
shout out to Strap to Fool, by the way.
Don't make me no. Yeah. Also, like this album starts with a song called El Chopo.
Well, see, he had to copyright. I guess that's a copyright issue because I'm assuming that rest in peace to El Chapo, friend of the show, El Chapo, the other El Chapo.
Not that El Chapo.
But yeah, I guess that was like an issue that he had to clarify. There's a really lame part in his book, by the way, where he has to be like, I don't want to be El Chapo. Like, it's the lame end chapter to it. So that's why he like misspells it. I don't know. Yeah, I always thought that was weird that he always spelled it different, like his character name.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's also the Sopranos on this one. At one point, so he beats Benny the Butcher to doing Sopranos stuff by a few years.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
I had to throw in some Benny the Butcher, some light slander.
I don't know if that was slander as so much as a statement of fact.
Yeah, no. I was co-signing it, to be clear, but
I mean, I can slander, but I mean, as far as people who flood the market with content while sounding asleep, Gucci is way better than Benny the Butcher.
He
there.
is.
Now I slander,
especially in the last few years.
But I mean, this is not prime Gucci, but I enjoy it. I think it again is helped by for jail Gucci, it's helped by having other people around who sound more invested.
Yeah. It's a good tape. Like from all of his in jail projects, this is one of the best. But it's still not amazing. It's just pretty good.
Yeah. We have another oh wait, no, we don't have an acronym. Yeah, I guess we can start lightning rounding stuff if you like, because I just realized that
Yeah, no, I can just lightning round from here on out because now it's getting uninteresting.
There is one that I do want to talk about. but I'll say it when we get to it. But yeah, there is one I do want to speak a little bit on. And obviously there's one song on one project that I think we have some opinions on that we listened to recently, but continue.
Yeah. The Brick Factory Volume 1. If you like your Gucci with barely any Gucci, here you go. Shout out Dr. Phil on one song. Texas Margarita is fun. Paper Problems is fun. This is not a Gucci album. I think the next one is the Purple album. Yeah, this is with hang
on, we have to get out the acronym though. People usually ridicule the powerful, lead by example. That is not an acronym. That is not how acronyms work.
But it's amazing. This is a Young Thug project. This is just a Young Thug project. It is a Young Thug project. Riding Around is fun because he sounds he sounds like a squealing cat. He is very descriptive about a woman's body while grunting, and then I don't know. Old Man Thug from Family Don't Matter also shows up on here on Texter. This is not worth your time. This is not even like a good Thug tape for the time. It's just Then the Green album, Get Rich. Everything else is nonsense. Again, not how acronyms work. This is a Migos album with a song called Saddam Hussein. Okay, sure. It's fine. There's some good lines from Quavo. There's some good lines from Takeoff. Offset is basically not even on this tape. I don't know. Yeah. Next one is I Am Trap. Great. I Am Trap is funny. Is a little bit funny. Because it has the Brick in a Brick remix, which has Blaze Servin, Maceo, and Courtney Money on one song. And it's 6 minutes long. We needed this, definitely. And you have Used to It featuring Wale, which is garbage.
Why did Gucci collaborate so much with Wale? Like,
I
what
think
was
they were
the fucking
friends.
fascination there, though? Like, I don't know. I feel like Wale was somebody you couldn't get out of the studio when you got him in there. Because I remember, like, there was one, I forget what the tape was. Was it that Jadakiss tape I was talking about? There's some tape where it's like everybody else has one feature and you get like 3 Wale features. And I'm like, was there a discount? Or would he just not? Like, just like with Diplo, you just get gratuitous Wale shots on this podcast. You just accept it at this point. Anyway, continue.
The Oddfather
intro, the prison phone intro on this is actually really good.
it was. It's you can tell he wanted to do this, and
this is the prison intro, I believe, where he has the I think it's right after Duncan died, rest in peace. And yeah, he has like the shout out to him on the intro, so he seems more invested in this one than a lot of the jail projects. Although obviously a lot of the stuff is scraps, most of the stuff is scraps, but the prison phone intro is very good as far as those go.
Yeah, and the rest is just not very interesting. Kick Door is fun. Then we have Gucci versus Guwop.
I think I like this one better than you. This one's actually got some fun stuff on it, I think.
Go ahead.
Well, which one?
Gucci versus Guwop. This one,
okay, yeah.
Of like Wayne tapes where he's just kind of, I don't know why, because this is just same old Gucci like jail stuff, but it feels like there's more jokes on this one, more of a variety of flows. I don't know. It feels more lively to me.
Yeah, it's. I don't think it's bad, for the record. Horror Flick is very good. where he says, "The way I'm chasing white girl, you would think that I am Jason."
Well, what's interesting about the horror flick thing is that I think the production on this, again, predicts big Gucci Sosa. I think that there's like a without warning quality to production almost. Like, it's almost corny. Like, he's trying to do hard. Like, it's not as menacing as Trap House 3 or something like that. But I don't know. It was more like, maybe it's just because it's in the midst of such a desert of Gucci content, but it feels a bit like an oasis. Maybe it's because, again, the benefit of lowered expectations. I think maybe I was a little generous with it. I enjoyed the Wale song until Wale shows up. I think this is the same Wale song you were talking about previously, rehashed.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Woo the Kid feature's good, I will say.
It is. It is.
And the end song about Slim is very good again. I feel like that's maybe one of, like, I think he reuses the lines from the prison telephone thing, so I think that maybe wasn't a legit freestyle on the prison telephone. But yeah, I feel like there's just better Gucci rapping on here. I feel like if you're going to get one of these like tossed off, not really Gucci involved jail projects, this is the one to listen to. Although, yeah, the concept itself, the Gucci versus Guwop thing, is not explored even a little bit.
It would have been so fun.
It would have been like the idea of Gucci versus Guwop, like these two dueling personalities from somebody who was essentially admitted that they suffer from bipolar, would have been interesting. But it's, aside from the cover, which the cover is very funny too, but you don't get anything out of that. Coconut Ciroc is not. By the way, Coconut Ciroc is very funny.
Yeah, that's very good. The deep cut from here.
Oh yeah, it's just, I feel like there's more personality to this one, and they kind of took all the stuff that they kind of put piecemeal into other projects to give them a little personality, all isolated. Yeah, I wasn't expecting anything out of this one. I kind of just picked it doing homework at work. So and was pleasantly surprised by it. And yeah, but if you came over a Young Chop beat, which there wasn't nearly enough of that.
Yeah, but if you think this had personality and you were like thinking, oh, this is looking up for Gucci. The next thing is Brick Factory Volume 2, Day Shift, Night Shift. 96 minutes, barely any Gucci.
I am in no hurry to hear this project, especially based upon your review.
Shout out a person called Lil B. It's not Lil B. It's a guy called BZ, I guess, and he also was on some Ice Burgundy mixtape. I'm moving on. Catch a Box is the only Gucci song on here, and it's good. But also The Gun. That's fun. The Gun. Well, and then we have the return of Mr. Perfect. Absolutely handsome album cover. This is also fine, but this song is just, it's this tape is mostly known for being the tape with Knight Rider on it, which
yes,
yeah, Knight Rider,
a modern classic if I ever know one.
I believe the comment thread for Knight Rider on YouTube, I normally don't quote YouTube comment threads, but it said it sounded like Gucci was on his couch with chips on his belly. And that pretty much describes Gucci's delivery on it.
Yep. And yes, it does sample exactly what you think it samples. Oh
no, that is a masterful sample from London on the Track.
Yeah, I'm so happy he did that.
The singing, the content. He does double time at some point, which is interesting.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
Trap got 3.
Trap got 3, which, okay. What?
It's good. It's good. There's good songs in here. There's Shit Shouldn't Happen, that's great. Swole Pocket Shorty is for some reason actually good. Start Pimpin' is good with Chief Keef. Plenty Mo is fun. Informant too, but yeah, it's also just yeah. It's listenable. It's good.
Well, what was interesting about it was reading the autobiography. He was talking about how I don't know how much of this was indulgence by or not indulgence. What's the word I'm looking for here? Like, interjection by the author about how it was like a sort of 60s compound thing where he's just holed up in the studio and like coming up with like a whole counterculture type thing and just pumping out music like the hippies did almost. And I don't think that that's really, some of the stuff feels so lifeless to me. Like just the parts that I've heard, like, I mean, there's certain like, you know, oases, like I thought Gucci versus Guwop was interesting, but it really does feel like more of it was when he's talking about how he was paranoid and wouldn't leave the studio and just couldn't stop recording. And some of it just feels that way, where it's just like a level of consistency where it's never bad, but never exciting. And I haven't heard all the projects like you have, but I feel like there is that just baseline level of fine, good. He can't make bad music.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it, Patrick.
But you do have this idea, like sometimes you get breaks in it, like the prison intro on Oddfather, where it's like this guy's in prison writing like crazy and hungry to get out and sobering up, and we're going to see that break over the clouds soon. But
thankfully,
yeah, everybody's looking. But where are we at now?
Big Gucci Sosa.
Okay, this is interesting. Not as good as you would hope, but it's good. It came out on Halloween, which I didn't realize, which is super appropriate. But I mean, nothing on here. Wait, I don't have the track list in front of me. Is Darker on here or not?
Of course.
Okay, well, Darker's the best thing on here by far.
Got to talk about though, because everyone talks about this song for a good reason, is "Don't Lose No Load," which has Gucci just begging Chief Keef not to lose any load. And the first line this motherfucker puts out on the song is, "I ain't gonna lie, I lost the load."
I mean, now I'm kind of thinking of the beginning of the Drake and 21 Savage. 21, can you help me out? Except with
my gosh. Is that rigging off on the work playlist?
It is not. I'm not allowed to touch the work playlist ever since I put "I Will" by Danny Brown on.
If I had to hear that at 7 a.m, I wouldn't let you touch the work playlist either.
Danny. I mean, now that I'm looking at the track list, it does feel like it is like 9 tracks of original-ish material, and then the greatest hits at the end is bonus tracks.
Yeah, pretty much. But I just want to say something else, which is really fascinating to me. This tape was released on the same day as Back from the Dead 2. Why?
Well, because I don't think the teams were coordinating there, because I think Gucci had the one dude whose name escapes me. He's factors prominently in his autobiography, whereas I think that Keep, I don't know if Keep handling his own material but yeah, Back from the Dead 2 was going to overshadow pretty much everything. Like, yeah. And this is solid, but also So Much Money only has a 3.2. Like, I should not put any stock in like, not many people on our, not everybody on RYM even has the ability to rate tracks, but yeah. Back from the Dead 2 is going to overshadows most things in Keef's own catalog, let alone something like this, which feels more or less like a compilation, whereas Back from the Dead 2 is like a career statement. So, but yeah, this is good. It's just never as good as I'd hope it would be. I'll say that much.
It's just decent. It's just really good. It's just really good. But
I mean, inhibited obviously by the circumstances of its creation. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. But
we are moving on to a true highlight. East Atlanta Santa.
Yes.
This album contains 0 Christmas music. Prince to Christmas. Not one Christmas beat. Not one but it's fucking awesome. It's great. It's so funny. It's so lively. It's so good. I really enjoyed this. It takes a
Oh, you don't get this is don't get me started on the amount of Rory on these Gucci projects coming up. Why?
Yeah, I didn't realize that Rory was such a part of Gucci.
Yeah, a lot of these were recent listens for me, or the next few that are coming up, and I was like, what is Rory doing on all these projects?
Yeah, I also didn't know about that. That was just what?
I mean, presumably it was just another one of those things where it was like one studio session parsed out over multiple projects. Like, are these, like, yeah, not what you would expect, right? Like Captain Sunchips showing up.
Sunchips music.
So, like, but he doesn't even really register, which is good. You don't really want Rory to register. Like, I don't want to know that it's him. This is hilarious. This tape is this is full on stand up comedy Gucci.
Absolutely.
Oh, no question. It's absurdist Gucci.
Maybe it's the Juice and Trapping Out the Mansion are two of his absolute funniest tracks.
Absolutely. Especially Trapping Out the Mansion. That's the funniest song ever.
Also, With My Pistol gives you the visual of him brushing his teeth with his gun. Like, using...
which
has his gun next to him when he brushes his teeth, that he's literally using his gun to brush
his gun, yeah.
And you also have a classic oddball as him and OJ, which is not like, the best. It's just it might be the funniest OJ and Gucci collab, I would say.
Yeah.
Just for the medication also, in terms of just completely out of his head Gucci song, like unapologetic, like basically every... Medication feels like everything that people have criticized Gucci for, he's throwing back in their face. His gambling, his drug use, he's just like slurring it back at them.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just
Merry
48. Merry Christmas. 48 minutes. It's just 48 minutes of just bizarro Gucci, and it's funny as shit.
Yeah,
this is one of the tapes you should check out if you are interested in his in jail times.
I would say this is a good oddity, like, of that era, like it, because a lot of it can feel like you guys were saying earlier, which is this is fine, but it's workmanlike. It's just material for the sake of material. This one feels like it has personality.
Well, I can see why it resonated with you, Sophia, because you were listening to all this one after the other, and then something like this coming out of nowhere is just like a burst of color.
Absolutely. That was just... I was so happy when that came up, and I was just like, yes, finally, some good fucking food.
But this one had personality. There's a sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting to that. Because first we gotta get back. We gotta get back into another lightning round that no one wants to hear.
Chow line though, the prison chow line.
1017 Mafia Incarcerated. Not a Gucci album.
No.
Or tape. No. This has so little Gucci on it. Like, I don't know. The songs aren't like bad, but like who cares? Who cares? But
at
Close
least,
to Me is good.
You've got
at least like Brick Factory,
OG Mako. You got some young Jose Guapo showing back up. Shouts to Jose Guapo. Shouts to MPA Wicked. Shoutouts to Duke. All the heroes. No, next. The
next one is Brick Factory 3. This is, again, not a Gucci album or tape. A lot of Peewee Longway, a lot of Young Thug, a lot of MPA Wicked.
Is this the fake Little B on this one?
Yeah, this is the one with the fake Little B. But hey, Hood Rich Pablo Juan is on here, and that makes me happy. That is good.
DMV appearance.
I love Juan. He's
the Chrome One, whoever that is.
Chrome One. Yeah, he's on a mixtape.
Four credits. He has 4 credits. One in 2022 with Chapo 102 and the 102 Boys. That's a feather in his cap. He's also on an album with
what the fuck? No. Wait. The 102 Boys. What the fuck? Okay, you guys don't understand. This is a German rap crew.
Oh God, I just opened a can.
This is a German rap crew. This is. Are you fucking? Who? What?
What did I do?
We're going down the rabbit hole.
Shout out to Street Money Bucci though. He's also down with Street Money Bucci.
Yeah. And shout out the tape called Black Lanta.
It's bigger than rap.
It's bigger than rap.
It is.
It is indeed bigger than rap.
Mr.
Now
Clean.
we have
No.
Now we have an EP called Views from Zone 6, which is
this one has the real Little B on it, if I recall correctly.
Yes, it also has Andy Milonakis on it.
Oh, great! Yeah, what we all were really dying for was the fuck Andy Milonakis fucking rap feature, and I didn't want to have to talk about that. Great.
I just
this
he did get Young Leash on it though, so that's something.
I mean, we have Bankroll Fresh again, so that's cool. Fredo Santana. So we have a lot of depressing shit, and that we have both Fredo Santana and Bankroll Fresh on here. Lil B's feature is funny. It's actually like obviously he's excited to be on a track with Gucci and gives a full effort. The Chains feature is cool. Fuck Andy Milonakis forever, man. Fuck all this irony rap shit.
The only good thing about that song is that it's a take on a Gucci parody from like 2009. Yeah.
It's a take on a hilarious Broken Equipment song with roll me a blunt right now, fucking your bitch right now. Yeah, no, like you should all look up the Broken Equipment right now. I don't know if it's still on YouTube. Great Gucci parody, which is a self-awareness from somebody in Gucci's team. I'm assuming not Gucci. But the fact that you would get a Keith and Gucci track and then stick Andy Milonakis on it, I don't care. Fuck you. I hate
Mr. Clean the Middleman. No. It's just I mean it's not bad, but at this point I'm just so done with Gucci jail project, and I just want some peace in my life.
I just picture like Sophia with like fucking big dark circles under her eyes, like mascara is just like running, just being like, oh God, another one.
Another one.
But now again, your chronology is wrong again, but I don't mind.
Well, I'm so sorry. I'm very sorry to have disappointed you on the chronology. But anyway, continue.
Breakfast. Now we are getting to a four project treat dropped on 17th March of 2015. Breakfast. We start with breakfast because a boy's gotta eat, Gucci's gotta eat, the girls gotta eat. We got breakfast from Gucci, and it's good.
I mean, it could never be as good as the album cover. This is one of the most iconic mixtape covers of all time.
Yeah, this stands on a level with some of the best cover art in hip hop.
Absolutely amazing. I Love McConan has 2 features on here for some godforsaken reason. I love it. I love McConan. He is the cutest person ever. I hope he's doing good.
Definitely, retroactively. Should be appreciated more. I would say McConan.
Can't front.
The
industry really did fuck that guy.
Yeah, and by all accounts, he seemed to be a genuinely good person. So it sucks what happened to him.
And also, like, we gotta be real honest. Like, would someone like Lil Yachty really would have had this kind of sort of lane without McConan going in first?
Well, and the Lil Boat mixtape was only like a year and a half after like Tuesday came out, so he was like right on the heels of McConan's and all the Drink More Water mixtapes that McConan was doing. Like, Lil Boat became right after that. So yeah.
I mean, first of all, Tuesday's an undeniable song. Like that, I can still call the hook up in my head. That's totally undeniable. And second, it's like fuck you forever, Drake, in terms of obviously Swag Dracula on a next level for like that's just the story of his career. And once again with McConan. But yeah, this obviously like I like this a lot, except for the Verse Simmons doesn't do anything for me. But that's the story of Verse Simmons. Beyond that. Strangely well edited Gucci tape, especially like if you think of his previous trilogy where there was no editing. Granted, this was probably entirely out of his hands, but yeah, this is pretty tight at like what 40 minutes, like 50 minutes, I want to say. There's no time on the RYM, but I think this is like about under an hour.
It's also like Polluted is really good. Money Do is really good. Tone is. No, breakfast is only breakfast because, like, a few hours later, we got lunch.
It's weird, though, if you go on RYM, they make you sit through dinner before you get to lunch. One has Trinidad James, and shout-outs to Smurf. Did not think you were going to hear from a Smurf, but Smurf shows up at the very end.
No, that's Papa Smurf.
Papa Smurf. Once again, hear from Dr. Phil.
No, like, this guy, like, Papa Smurf showed up on a lot of Waka mixtapes.
No, I actually know who you're talking about now that I clicked on his artist page. That, yeah, he's a Brick Squad weed carrier type. But Dr. Phil, who has no page. So it's just a very funny weed carrier lineup that you have Papa Smurf, Dr. Phil, and Trinidad James on the same tape. And a Ransom Waka feature on a track called Booth. And that's absolutely on purpose. That is absolutely on purpose.
But yeah, this is also like decent. Like I really like the Gucci and Trinidad song because I do like Trinidad James quite a bit. Ron is good. The Lunch freestyle is good. Make Your Move is good. But yeah, it's weaker than Breakfast. Definitely.
Okay.
And then we get Dinner, which has the Animal Anarchis song on it again, right?
We also recycle Angry as well from the same project. We have one of the most unfortunately titled songs ever with Fredo.
Yeah.
Your Children. which is a good song, but
I know it's a good song. And, I always like
can't recommend it to anyone.
Do not recommend you listen to Play With Your Children.
Just play it for people and then tell them what song it is, what it's called. Then it's fine. What? No, it's not. But you know, Choose Up is also decent. But Dinner is like probably the worst out of three. It's just, this is again content dump, and
I mean, this is definitely we're getting into the stretch in the soup period. Not to extend a labored metaphor about food, but I mean, there's also a dessert EP, which I have not heard.
That's good. This one is actually good.
Well, sometimes dessert's the best part of the meal.
Yeah, Play Too Much.
That was too easy, Patrick.
That was too easy.
That was good. I'll get you though.
I had to make up for the Duke Coach K thing earlier. I had to give me a up.
You took advantage of it. That's fine.
But yeah,
Play Too Much is one of the best songs out of the quadrilogy. That's it.
Well, we're getting to the end of Gucci's prison tenure, though. I believe,
slowly. Yeah, now we're getting Trap House 5,
which they promised us was the end in the title.
It is the last chapter. It's actually a good tape. It sounds sad. It sounds melancholic because I don't know what kind of Gucci ransom verses they still had, but they were good ones. No one else with Thug, Peewee, and Jose Guapo is good. There's a really fun song at the end called Constantly, which is Gucci and Chief Keef both just crooning on a cloud rap instrumental by C-Note. It's tape you can definitely check out.
I remember it being pretty decent when I heard it, but it's been years since I listened to it. But I was also slightly disappointed just because it had the Trap House name attached to it. So
yeah, it's sad that this is how the Trap House series ended, but it is the better conclusion than Trap House 4.
Well, you're a fan of the Saw movie, so you should be used to this sort of thing.
Look, it's not even like...
You didn't like that one, did you? I could have gone with Silent Night, Deadly Night.
That's a good series, though. Okay, let's just move. Let's just keep...
I'm cutting a little too close to the bone with these.
I actually do have a Silent Night, Deadly Night action figure.
Yeah. That would have actually been much better used later on. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Anyways, the next thing is King Gucci, which is. I just.
Lazy cover.
But the thing is, on this tape, you have got her drunk, put some wood in her. I hate hoes, and I'm too much.
It's a real journey. You take a journey with these tracks.
Also, Lil Flash is on here for some reason, and fuck Riff Raff. And shout out.
We'll get to Riff Raff.
Yeah,
or will.
But we're still not.
Another thing that Diplo inflicted on the world, by the way, is Riff Raff. So, thanks, bro.
Thank you for giving us this. Let's move on.
Bird on the Wire is not enough to atone
Donald
for
Riff Raff. So got a real pattern going here.
Trapology, absolutely fucking insane feature list. It's kind of fun because it's just really weird. But let's just give a shout out to some of the no names on here. Shout out KSO, Icewear Vezo, D-Ray.
Oh, that's a little disrespectful to Icewear Vezo. No, I'm serious. Like, that's like.
I actually don't know this guy.
Oh no! This
is Sada Baby's cousin. Okay, I haven't said anything.
He's a
okay. Icewear Vezo. I'm very sorry for having disrespected you. Please.
So why does DJ Holiday get feature credits on things?
Don't
to earn a feature credit. So I guess we have another Jadakiss feature. I don't remember this, even though I reviewed this. Except for the fact
Jadakiss and Fetty Wap on a song is also amazing.
That is very funny.
Riff Raff and Father on a song is a choice.
Because in theory, Father and Gucci on a track, it kind of sounds interesting. Like but then you got Riff Raff.
But, we have Lil B on a track with Riff Raff.
Snoop Dogg is on here for some reason.
And also, we're going to use our Snoop Dogg and Gucci track on here. This is where we're going to put Snoop and Gucci.
Also getting ass everywhere.
Although Dogg finally did show up for his Gucci feature after the Gooch. He finally showed up. I mean, 20 mixtapes later. If you recall, Gucci was introducing Snoop on the Gooch.
But let's just say that the album cover for Trapology is also Hall of Fame material because
it is. I mean, yes. There's so much to unpack here. This sucks. This is and in the middle of it, Ass Everywhere featuring Verse Simmons, just as the chair. The shits. Fuck this. You gave this 3.5 stars though.
This is the kind of bullshit that is like fun to talk about. So
I mean, it is fun to talk about. I I listened to it and it made me mad. Mostly, I think I got mad at it because of all the riffraff. Like
Also,
in both terms of the feature list and the literal guy named riffraff. God, yeah. I don't remember the Soulja Boy song actually, and I don't think there's another Gucci Soulja thing, right? Like, I don't think they really collaborated like that.
Yeah, not at this point at their careers, anyways. Let me just say, the one thing that makes this tape interesting is because the snippets from Gucci they had is like all over his type of styles. Like there's Street Gucci, Bizarro Gucci, Love Song Gucci, Indescribable Accent Gucci.
Just there's like garbled marble, like mouthful of just like literal marbles. Yeah, I almost want to revisit this because East Atlanta Santa 2 was so fascinating and fun, but in spite of Riff Raff being on there, and I forgot for a fact like a minute that Riff Raff had quote unquote credibility because he was hanging out with Harry Fraud and shit. And the fact that Jadakiss and Fetty Wap on a Traffic is just so fascinating to me.
It is.
But no, this life's too short.
Then there was like this weird movie about Gucci made called The Spot. The soundtrack for it is a mixtape. It's decent. It has a song with Young Dolph and YFN Lucci on one song. On one hand, it has Trina and K-Mag on it. Another Ransom Waka, two Ransom Waka versus
piecemeal. It's so many years later. They still have Waka, quote unquote, verses, but yeah.
Yeah, it's fine, but you don't need to listen to it. Okay, finally, tape. We should talk about East Atlanta Santa 2. Easily the weirdest thing in Gucci's career since the Gooch.
Jesus Christ, this fucking thing. What?
Insane.
What the fuck? Caleb, did you listen to this?
Yes, I did.
What the fuck is this? Happening in this thing?
I really don't. It is the most. I think of all the Gucci projects
here. So explain Young Lean to me first of all. Explain what Young Lean is doing here.
He's having fun.
I don't know. I believe so. Okay. First of all, why is this the best Vic Mensa verse ever?
that is.
So just like crushes it with his hardest verse ever.
This is the most fun feature list on a Gucci project. I think.
Really. You have so I'm going to read this feature list for the listening audience. Project Pet, Young Thug, Waka Flocka, OG Mako, Post Malone, Riff Raff, Lil B, OJ the Juice Man, Frenchie, not French Montana, Cy-Ari the Kid, 21 Savage, whoever the fuck Tone is, Vic Mensa, whoever the fuck Bandman Kivo is, Gaz Gotti, Cy-Ari the Kid again, Throwback, Lil Flash, and Drain God Young Lean. What the fuck is happening? This is bizarre. This is the Young Thug song, by the way, is one of the best songs out of Jail Gucci, period. That song is great. That is the legitimate best song on here by far. I love what the I can't say any other song on here is legitimately good, but Savage is good. Vic Mensa, again, I don't like Vic Mensa. No one should, but that's a really good verse, like out of nowhere. And also Post Malone's hook is really good too. And I don't like Post Malone either. But that's a really good post. It's so, this thing is weird. It's weird, man. Young Lean, like, I think Sophia described it as he doesn't know how he got this feature or how he ended up here. And he sounds like it. And it's like a good Young Lean verse at the very end that does not fit anything ever. This album starts with Project Pat rhyming about boogers. I also don't think there's anything about Christmas on here.
Once again, no.
Yeah. Also, on Santa project that have nothing to do with Christmas.
Also, this one has a song called Vampire, which is the second song by Gucci called Vampire. And, yeah.
I don't really recall much about vampires. I mean, he definitely is ahead of Cardi on this. I don't think I don't know, man. This thing is a blast. It's so weird. I recommend everybody listen to it. It's by far the most interesting Gucci jail project. It's not the best, but it's the most interesting.
Yeah, just for the oddity alone, I think I would recommend it. You know.
Like, there's no other album on this earth that you're going to hear Young Thug, Project Pat, Post Malone, Riff Raff, Lil B, OJ the Juice Man, 21 Savage, Vic Mensa, and Young Lean on.
Yeah.
Just read that back in your head.
For the time, that's an insane feature list. And even today...
I was going to say, for any time, insane feature list. And the only person I would say disappoints on this is Lil B, just because he's doing that Lil B thing where he's like, I want to rap in a way that people who are normal want to listen to.
Yeah.
Which is, it's fine. Like, Lil B can rap normal. It's just no one who wants to, no one's really going to listen to, like, normal people don't want to hear Lil B. Like, he can do it. It's fine. But it's like, no one normal wants to hear Lil B. Or no one wants to hear Lil B rap normally, I should say.
Yeah. All right.
So, Gucci.
We're almost through. Mama's Basement is still up.
Yeah, Mama's Basement. I've listened to this once, and it's interesting, but I can't say that I've listened to it enough to have a really coherent.
It's fun. It's songs that Gucci and Zaytoven did in like 2004 and 2005 before Trap House 1. It's fun.
Yeah. It's a baby picture project.
I think it's worth checking out.
Baby picture in terms of the one we talked about previous. It's not like La Flare or whatever, the one we talked about with Muscles in My Hand on it. It's not that much of a baby picture, but same type of thing. Yeah, it's an interesting snapshot. I've only listened to it once, but I enjoyed it. Like, it's cool more to hear Zaytoven in a formative stage than Gucci, but I liked it.
Yeah. And now, finally,
so
Gucci is out.
He's sober. He died and was cloned, and everybody's looking at him.
Yes, we've made it.
We've eaten a lot of plates of comfort food, but now it's time to actually have our main course.
And it's fantastic.
I love this record.
Genuinely wonderful artistic statement and something that holds up completely. I listened to it again; it holds up completely.
Yeah,
I love. I mean, first thing, just the single for it. I mean, First Day Out the Feds is one of his best songs.
Well, what was weird? I was looking at the other single pages, and I don't know if I didn't look at the dates, but I don't know, was First Day Out the Feds or Guwop Home the first single?
I thought it was First Day Out the Feds because that was literally like...
Well, literally, yes. Like that.
Yeah, right after he came home, right?
Talking about how Guwop Home wasn't a good single, and I'm like, first of all, you're fucking idiots. And second of all, like, they were saying like an album cut, which... I just didn't understand. First of all, I don't understand any criticism of that because I think that's one of Thug's strongest performances, period. Like, I love the way he delivers that. And I will not torture the listener by doing an impression of Young Thug.
The Young Thug of Guwop.
You don't wildly, you. Yeah, I just did it, but still.
Yeah, wildly straining voice. Yeah, that was super fun.
I mean, I think either one's appropriate as a lead single. Like, considering the circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, I was re-listening to the album today, and pop music is amazing. I mean,
oh my god, that bass in that song! Oh my god,
is rappers having conventions on how to stop Gucci. I just love that rappers like renting out convention halls and like workshopping ideas with PowerPoints on how to stop Gucci.
My label said they were going to drop Gucci in a convertible Rari. I call it Drop Gucci.
And just that, like, about pop music is so, like, the album is just full of just, like, Gucci's humor streamlined. Like, it really feels like every idea he had in prison, he streamlined it. It's truly a sober-minded album in that regard.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we got to talk about the ridiculousness of Pussy Print, but, you know.
Oh, well, who thought that Kanye and Varg had so much in common?
Yeah. Ahead of its time.
Definitely. also like there's like, but it's just such a high density of hits as well. Like Outdo Ya, Way Back, Pop Music.
Way Back is so good.
Back on Road is top 10 Drake for me in terms of at least collective Drake. I mean, you can say like his own album stuff, but in terms of him, like I feel like
it's so efficient. It's such a good synthesis of both artists.
Yeah,
you know, and it doesn't overstay at all.
On other artists' songs, and it feels really forced. That didn't feel forced to me.
Yeah, and no, it's a very like simple hook, and it's super catchy and effective. Yeah, that's a great song.
Richest in the Room, also really good autobiographic song.
Very dark and menacing.
That as well, yeah.
I called back to it, or called forward to it, I suppose, early in the episode. But All My Children, a theme that Gucci's touched on a lot, that I think had extra resonance coming out of prison with all these rappers that he'd both, you know, been an active A&R for, and others that have taken influence from him that become popular. I think was a great way. It wasn't the last song on it, but it was. I think that was a great closing statement, like right before the final closing statement, and it just had a lot of gravity to it, you know. And just the production too, just the choice of sticking with his house production crew and at their absolute finest, and the reason he would say that he would rather rap over his A track than the Dre track, like obviously
100%,
100%, yeah,
so fucking good. Like,
and one of has to be one of the most iconic Gucci lines, I feel like.
I mean, he's used it before, actually. Like, I've listened, like, he'd used it before, but I mean, he's somebody who can get away with recycling because he can recycle in a different context that doesn't feel like recycling.
Yeah.
Recontextualizing.
Yeah, and this is also like really the project where like you can tell like Gucci really worked on his penmanship over the 3 years and just waited to be let out to record.
No, the hook writing is so sharp.
Yeah,
like, and that's a thing that Gucci. Yeah, Gucci is not gonna get credit for. Is the hook writing? You know, he'll get credit for the influence that he's had, and he'll get credit for like his production choices, but his actual songwriting, is never gonna get the proper appreciation it deserves. I feel even today, but on an album like this, everything is so sharp. It's so like well executed. It's a great synthesis of what makes him great and what made this brief like initial post-prison run so effective.
Yeah, it really does feel honed. Like, one of the things that I'd been kicking around, and I don't know if I said it at the time, was that it felt like he was being scouted by, at the very least, good music. And I don't know if it was Kanye or if it was Pusha or both of them. Like, obviously it was in the Champions remix. Now that Gucci's home is over for you Gucci clones, like, that he was being groomed for a bigger label push, and maybe he was trying to do something more artistic as a result of that. Like, I don't know how many people were coming to him in prison saying this is the deal that's waiting for you, but it felt like in anticipation of that and listening to all the criticisms he'd gotten, probably based upon like the content dumps that were coming out, he was trying to come up with something that this isn't a content dump. This is actual written artistic, like from the label, from the cover art down. You can't say that this is lazy. This is absolutely an artistic statement. And I feel like his projects from then on out were something different.
Yeah. Like really, he did what he said on the outro. He picked up the pieces and built a completely new career for himself.
And he built a different life for himself too. And like, I feel like the autobiography was part and parcel with that too. He like talks about like even the corny thing about like, I said I was El Chapo, but I don't want to be that guy. Like in the autobiography, he talks about his life with his wife and like giving up his vices, his gambling problem, et cetera, et cetera. And I feel like it was all like, and I feel like he's kind of lived that out since. Like, I believe he stayed sober. His projects have also like kind of kept in the same, like he hasn't been dumping out mixtapes like that. Like they've all been of a theme. It's a different guy. Like, you're not getting stuff like, for better or worse, you're not getting an East Atlanta Santa 2, like weirdo stuff that's like thrown together. So you don't get stuff with quite as much personality, but it's definitely more crafted. And it feels like his hand is in it more. Obviously, his hand couldn't be in so much when he's in prison, but I don't know. This specifically felt like a defining statement of somebody who's trying to turn their life around, reflect on themselves. And it just also felt like I said before, is that he doesn't get credit enough for being an intelligent person who writes carefully. And there are so many jokes there are so many jokes throughout his career in his writing, but this feels like somebody who wants you to know that he himself is not a joke.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And the production is so clear and well put together and thoughtful. And I will say that Pussy Print, I thought that was a Kanye production. That's actually Mike Will, I believe, with the Burzum sample. But it felt so out of his general wheelhouse. I was like, oh, Kanye made that, right? Just because Kanye's on it. But no, it's just a Kanye feature. But it's such a dark, weird beat. And that's the type of...
Yeah. And that was the stuff that was on most of the project.
Yeah,
such a different tone from the slog of, mediocre or decent mixtapes during that, like you said, Stretch the Soup era.
Yeah.
I mean, Sophia would know better than any of us. She's probably the only person, not even Gucci, listened to all that stuff.
I definitely listened to more Gucci than Gucci ever did.
So next was
it should be Woptober. Just real quick, there was one EP called Gucci. It's fine. It's just,
the Gucci Zaytoven. Yeah, it was okay.
It's unnecessary. It's decent. These 4 songs are not necessary, but it's fine. Okay, moving on.
Woptober, good cover art. We're back on our good cover art gang with this one. Little underrated on RYM, I would say.
Absolutely. The intro is great. Aggressive is great. Money Machine is great. Right on Time is great. Love Her Body is great. Also, it has bling, blow, bling, blow, burr, burr, burr.
Also, Out the Zoo is probably my favorite track.
Oh yeah, that's also great.
Love that song. And Addicted is a really good closer in that vein. So yeah, he was still operating at a high level on this. I mean, this is really strong stuff. Very consistent. Not really anything else for me to say on it, but I definitely played it a good amount in the time that it came out.
It's really good. It's
stacked production list, as you would expect from a Gucci project. So
yeah, it's just really good.
It's a little looser than Everybody Lookin', but it's still the same level of quality, I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree. So we got is the East Atlanta Santa, right? The Return?
No, it's Free Bricks 2 Zone 6 edition. It's a little EP again.
Oh yeah.
It's also not necessary. They did not the first Free Bricks. I mean, it was an important step in Future's career, but no one needed this EP. It's okay. It's microwave. It's microwave meal Gucci,
which is weird considering the level that they both were operating on. At this time, Future just kind of sounded burnt out, at least from my recollection of it.
No, he did.
Future always kind of sounds a little burnt out, to be fair. But I feel like Gucci's cosign carried a lot of weight at this point. It was important for people to work with him. So it was probably more important on some sort of personal level to do this than it was an artistic level. I remember...
Well, you think about it, when Gucci was in prison, Future went on the hot streak that would define his career. So that when Gucci came out, Like, I feel like Future probably felt,
Obligated.
like he obligated and he really wanted to work with him again.
We're still not at Return of East Atlanta Santa.
Oh, there's another one. There's an
EP he did with Lil Uzi Vert.
Oh yeah. I remember that one. Yeah,
that's good. But there's one song on here, one song that is just overshadows everything else.
Yeah.
And it's Secure the Bag.
Secure the Bag.
It's the best song on here. It's just so insane.
Yeah, both of the last two songs are the best songs.
In 04 also, yeah. Oof. That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, I remember liking those two a lot, and I like the intro a lot. I also think that your review, Sophia, makes a good point about how it takes two rappers that, especially at that time, like, were very different, and kind of have always been, like, very different. Like, it shouldn't work, but it was a fun EP. Like, I thought it worked.
Yeah. It just Gucci, if he wants to, he can just hop on a project with literally anyone, and it will sound decent.
Well, Uzi seems like definitely somebody, like, I mean, you said literally anybody. He really could, literally anybody. But Uzi's just like Thug or Future, like somebody who's definitely in the wheelhouse of somebody he could take under his wing and make into a star, if he wanted. That style.
Yeah. Because at that time, when in his emergence, like, I mean, he was from Philly and, makes it very clear, but he could have passed for someone from Atlanta during that time.
I mean, honestly, I'm about to embarrass myself. I did not know Uzi was a Philly guy. Like, I did not know that. He sounded very Southern to me. So, and I had not lived in Philly for several years, so I did not know, in spite of the obvious, that Uzi was a Philly guy.
Right.
And last thing, there's a Manny Fresh beat on here. Just because.
Super.
Yeah.
At this point, but if anybody could get one, it would be Gucci. So.
Okay, Return of East Atlanta Santa.
Yes, this is a great mixtape. I like this one a lot.
I mean,
it has one of my favorite Gucci songs, which is Saint Brick Intro, which from the minute I heard it when the tape came out, and the amazing music video.
I was going to say one of the best music videos of all time.
It's a music video that I think very early on in the podcast we talked about, and all those years ago. But yeah, this is some of the best some of the best Gucci content you've ever seen. Like the acting, the plot twist, the fake snow when he's driving in the convertible, the red convertible. What a music video and what a song.
I mean, Gucci's just such a charming guy. And there's something to be said about his redemption arc, and he just kind of has owned it since he's left. Like, you can see that in the First Day Out the Feds video too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
Well, even in his humor on that song, like he's making kind of like self-deprecating jokes, like on First Day Out the Feds, like, oh, my own mama turned my back on me, and that's my mama.
That's my mama. And it goes out, he does that as recently too as the publicity stunt video too. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, speaking of hilarious songs, I mean, Both is very funny.
It is.
And the very funny Drake verse, yeah, I had a drink and a smoke. He's just doing whatever he's doing on that one. Yeah, I like the song. It's a fun song.
Both is like a self-aware version of Sicko Mode.
Yeah, it's a proto Sicko Mode.
Yeah. Sicko Mode is he's actually bragging about taking the prescribed amount of a drug.
Well, I love that he has to preface it with he doesn't usually get drunk and high at the same time. He's responsible.
I'm for it. I don't normally do the quote unquote crossfaded thing like the children do, but
right.
Also, why is Bryson Tiller on here?
Why does Bryson Tiller still have a career?
Oh, it was 2016. Bryson Tiller was hot in the streets in 2016. He had what did he have? He had the Trap Soul album, yeah. I mean, I don't know, the song is whatever, but it makes sense to me. Gucci always gets these R&B.
Well, that's the thing. Is again, referencing the book, he really defends his R&B choices on the second album. very defensive about it. Like actually wanted to do the Mariah song, etc., which makes the Gooch very, very funny. He actually likes doing that stuff. Like I think he actually thinks he has an attitude for it, which that's up for debate.
Also, Last Time is a classic Zaytoven beat. It's just like when I think of Zaytoven, that's like one of the 10 beats I could think of probably. Like, very, very great. Like kind of like the mellow piano keys, the way like Travis just like does a pretty low key understated hook, but it works. And then I like Gucci's. I mean, he has to end it with a hilarious line. They call me Gucci Man Picasso because I painted her face. But that is classic. That is classic Gucci. There's a performance actually where after this came out, like I think it was in around this time, he did one of those like NPR Tiny Desk like performances, right? And he did this song like with him and Zaytoven's going crazy on the piano, and it was just him doing it a cappella. And he says that line, like the Picasso line, and the crowd like cracks up laughing, and he's like laughing through it, like in on the joke. So very funny, very endearing.
Yeah, that's up there with one of the better Tiny Desks, like up there with Gibbs and Madlib and Rick Ross Tiny Desk. Although I will say the best rapper Tiny Desk is Tyler. That's my favorite.
Yeah, the Tyler one is amazing. Yeah. Well, the Gucci one is so much fun because it focuses a lot on Zaytoven's like piano playing, which he's just like amazing.
Yeah, good album, very good album, like very fun album. Like probably I would say the best professional East Atlanta stand. Although I think the first one is the most fun in terms of Gucci rapping, and the second one is like the most just off the wall one. But this one's probably the best, most well composed professional one, I would say.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
DropTopWop?
Not yet.
Oh, okay, sorry.
There's one last EP.
God damn you.
The three for free, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Oh, no,
was
that's
a
really
good
good.
one.
That's like, yeah, straight up 3 great songs, yeah. And that's also like kind of old style Gucci too, if I recall correctly. I did not re-listen to it, but if I recall,
I remember Sir Brix-a-Lot being like really fucking good.
Great pun, by the way. Great dumb pun.
Yeah, it's just also the beats by Shawty Red are like pretty good on here. Like, yeah.
There's not much to complain about, honestly.
It's also not much to say about, but this is just 3 perfect tracks.
Yeah, I have it at 9, and I think it would probably hold up as a 9 if I listen to it again. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, DropTopWop.
Fucking awesome.
Fucking awesome.
This album's so sick. I've listened to this so much over the years.
Like just perfect between him and Metro. Perfect.
Peak Gucci during 2017, which is probably the year of peak Metro. I mean, all of his work that year was stellar. I mean, we got it. There's at least like a couple of classics on here, without question.
I mean Hurt Gala is a perfect song. Although I will say Met Gala, he gets lapped. Like, I mean, no shame in that, but he does get
his verse is really good, and it's funny, but he still gets lapped. But that's just that's just the offset.
I mean, and I got freshly reminded of that because I tried to listen to for what we're going to talk about at the very end. On So Icy Boyz 22, I was like, oh, there's a remix. Like, Met Gala shows up again on his most recent label sampler, and he gets slapped.
Yeah, I do like the I don't know where where this came from, but he's like 4 bitches trying to swallow me. I feel like I'm fighting an octopus. Like, insane line. But I mean, just the way Offset continue the verse. Do you think the verse is going to end and then it keeps going? And he's just got. There's too many quotables to even mention. I'm going to sound like an idiot, but yeah. But that follows a run of really dark, menacing beats with great hooks, like Hurt Feelings. I mean, that's just like
Metro's weirdest beats, I think.
Oh yeah. I'm up there.
Also, like Dance with the Devil, which is like basically the precursor to what would happen later in that year.
Dance with the Devil is really good. Also, the Finesse the Plug interlude, even though it's like very simple, it's like, I finesse the plug, I got extra drugs.
I
thought you fucked with me, Gucci, where is the love? I love that one.
Yeah, and one of the things that's great about it is I don't think he repeats a flow on the whole thing. Like, I think every track has a different flow.
Yeah.
Just such variety.
And it clocks in at 37 minutes. Thank you.
Well, that's one of the things about late period Gucci is the editing. Like, really, most part. Like, I think one of the ones I listened was Evil Genius. Evil Genius is a little long, even though I think Evil Genius actually is better than I gave it credit for. Like, Evil Genius is actually very fun. But it's a little long. But other than that, I think generally, with the exception of the label sampler stuff, which is just... but that's not him. That's him trying to give shine to his people. Like, his actual projects in the post-prison period are all very tightly edited, I would say. And this more than any of them. This and Everybody, and I think we can all agree, probably the best two.
Yeah, for
absolutely.
Sure. But both this and Everybody Looking, if someone said like top 5 Gucci, I wouldn't. Like, I could understand.
Remarkable cover art too. Love the cover. Love
one of his best. One of his best.
Absolutely. Yeah. Also, to conclude a joke I made a year ago, this is the point where he is no longer Trav's George Clinton in the editing is for pussies regard.
Yeah, I mean, you're seriously, because like this is a stretch of efficient Gucci.
Yeah, very efficient Gucci.
I was Bill Clinton joke there, and I just didn't find it because like he makes like Bill Clinton inhale jokes a lot, and I've heard several in recent, and I couldn't get to the Bill Clinton joke there, unfortunately. So,
unfortunately, he would not be the hot streak would halt temporarily because with the Mr. Davis.
Clinton's his hot streak had to halt.
But I mean,
Hillary and all of them should have quit.
I mean, but Mr. Davis isn't bad. It's just
Mr. Davis.
No, it's not bad. It's fine.
Davis is fine, and honestly, for what it's going for, it does it well, and it has a few of his better, like late period mature songs on it. The thing about Mr. Davis is that it warns you about what it's going to be up front.
Well, it comes out pretty well with the like. I mean, I Get the Bag is like a really good song, and you know, I even like the Weeknd song. Like that was a pretty good mesh for a crossover song.
Absolutely.
I will say that it has the problem that he's finally succumbing to, and I guess, well, not finally, because this had the same problem on way back on State versus Roderick Davis. Lame ass, weak, pandering section. Although, granted, he has the Schoolboy song in the middle of it, that's good. But the Monica song through the Minaj song, not. Save for the Schoolboy song, that's whack. Like, don't need to hear him with Chris Brown. Don't need to hear the Monica stuff.
Yeah.
I don't need to hear anybody with Chris Brown, for that matter. Like, we don't need to rehash the guest feelings on Chris Brown. You can listen to any number of the times he's come up on this podcast and know how we feel about him. So, but
yeah, I think our feelings are pretty self-explanatory.
But like we just said, Gucci likes making these songs, and he's going to continue to do it. And you can read the, name of the album, look at the cover art, and see what he's going for here. Like, he's trying to do a more quote unquote mature thing, but you still have the intro and the outro. Like, I think the Weeknd song is actually the Weeknd song is great. Like, that's actually a really good ass song.
It's a really good, like, simple hook. Yeah, like
I think
the Weeknd does a very good job.
And I also think Dolph's really good. Migos really good. Rocky's good. Late period.
I mean, speaking of Migos, I mean, the Takeoff verse on "I Get the Bag" is probably the best verse on that song. R.I.P.
Yeah.
Takeoff. Yeah.
So it's just, people didn't want to hear this out of Gucci. They thought he was going to do what he did on every. But this is a kind of a piece with everybody looking too. He's like going to make crafted projects from here on out. You're not getting East Atlanta Santa 2 anymore. You're not getting weirdo stuff. You're not getting. So this is not really that surprising. Like, so I'm not really that disappointed in it. It's just not that exciting.
Yeah, it's all right with some highlights.
And I'm willing to take the overall less exciting aspects of it if it means that we still get an I Get the Bag or a Curve.
Right. Yeah, like if he stayed in this lane and was like, he kind of has, but it was. I'll say it was like kind of foreshadowing of what was to come, at least in the intermittent like 2018, 2019 years.
Yeah.
What I'll say is, a lot of times when artists put stuff like this out, they're like, "Oh, the label made you do this." The Lupe Fiasco argument. Oh, label made you. I don't think the label's making him do this. I think he wants to make albums like this.
Yeah. He does. But on this one, it just doesn't work out that well.
I think the mixtape to follow was probably like a little more successful, but I kind of stay in the same, like I'm still pretty lukewarm on it, the El Gato, the Human Glacier. What I'm not lukewarm on is the cover art.
I mean, yes, this cover art's 5-star. Yeah, well, we foreshadowed this in our earlier discussion, is that it's 5-star cover art for a 3-star tape. Like, this cover art deserved a better mixtape.
Which, like, this is also not a bad tape. Like, there's good Southside production on here. Smiley in the Drought is good. Strap Throat is good. Peeping out the blinds is good. But, like, there's just not much here.
I listened to it again. I struggle to say much about it. It didn't leave much of an impression.
Yeah. But hey, the next album did leave a good impression.
Yeah, which was
Evil Genius.
Evil Genius, yeah.
Really, okay, so listening to this fresh again, what's interesting about it is, because he's featured on here, I feel like this is his 21 Savage album. Minimalist beats, like, kind of really, I don't want to say ossified delivery, but deadpan delivery. Like, really, until On God, you're not getting much of an animated delivery. Then On God, he's really animated. Yeah, I feel like this is... He always had an ability to kind of ape other deliveries. Like, most famously, at least amongst us, on the Gucci's doing Lil Wayne impressions, which seem kind of sarcastic. This felt to me like his 21 Savage album.
Yeah.
Like, very deadpan sarcasm on this album.
And it's great. It's just... It's 50 minutes long, 18 tracks, which is, I think, a good medium between tracks and album length. And just...
It has some tough songs on it in the sense of, like, Wake Up in the Sky is, like, that was a big song. Like,
that is his biggest single, I think.
Yeah. If you look at Spotify, that's actually his most streamed song.
It was a huge song at the time. I do remember that.
I mean, if you look at the features, that's not surprising. If you look at the features, that's add a side to it, not surprising.
Yeah, but I do think, like, to your point about the 21 Savage and the the minimalism and stuff like that, I feel like the 21 song, Cold Shoulder, Father's Day, those are all really good songs.
Father's Day has a really cool beat to it that you wouldn't expect too, like that kind of the inflection.
And I do agree with everybody in the.
By the way,
I do agree with the comment box that was saying that it was too short. It was way too short.
No, I really enjoy this. I actually like the Little Skies song, which is surprising because I'm not really a Little Skies fan, but I like that song.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as later period Gucci goes, I think that this one is surprisingly lyrical, well put together. Like, I wouldn't say it's as good as a Woptober, DropTopWop, or Everybody Looking, but in the same ballpark. If not hitting at the same average, but in the same ballpark.
Absolutely, yeah. And then
I would say it's I would say it's a hair underrated. Yeah, I think it's a little underrated.
People should give this a bit more respect.
I mainly was interested in the 21 Savage thing. I didn't even think about that until like Savage came on his verse, and I'm like, wait a minute. I feel like he's doing the same sort of thing. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just in my head. But
well, it's a good comparison piece to his next record, Delusions of Grandeur, which I think is like also has a similar like, you know, Rolodex of popular artists as like features. It tries to attempt like crossover stuff. It has some really good songs on there, but then it has like some misses, like, and I think its miss rate is more than its hit rate compared to Evil Genius.
This one did not revisit, although Love You Through the Computer with Justin Bieber is very poorly rated on ROIM. Also, Lame featuring Wiz Khalifa and Rick Ross seems like it has its criticism built into the title.
Yeah. It's very like
with Uzi and Dolph sounds like it has its asset as the title. Yeah, I don't know. I did not listen to this. Single. I did not really care for it. That was a lame try to cross. That seemed like a lame try to cross over art. Actually, I was not a fan of that because I felt like everybody was doing those type of songs, and that does not seem like a good fit for him. And he's rapping fine on it, but yeah, that's the only song I've heard from this actually. So I've not listened to this one beyond that.
The funny thing about Delusions of Grandeur is before he released this, he called it one of his most crazy albums that would surprise all of his fans, and it's a fucking veteran album.
Yeah, this is a legacy artist album. Just looking at it, I can tell it's a legacy artist album.
It is. As is Woptober, but Woptober is a bit too. But Woptober 2 is a bit better.
Yeah, I enjoyed Woptober 2 for what it was. It was fine. Didn't really move the needle one way or another, but like I didn't dislike it.
The song with Megan is great.
The Megan song is really fun. The Kevin song has a really fun flow on it. The WAP Longway Takeoff, it's getting harder. That has a really fun energy to it. Like, there's no bad songs on here.
But I'm just a bit sad that probably the best beat on the album got wasted on Kodak Black.
I don't know. I actually think, for as corny as it is, the Megan song probably has at least the most memorable beat. Like, it's a, obvious beat, but I don't know. I enjoyed it. This is, in its own way, also a legacy album, like you said, but this is, again, it's Gucci, and, like, this is like a Ludacris album almost, I would say, in terms of, like, a legacy artist doing punchline shit, but fine.
I think it has a higher hit rate than like Delusions of Grandeur and the upcoming mixtape that we're going to talk about, to be honest. Like, I think overall the highs outweigh the lows.
It's very hard to not listen to you guys say the name of that last tape and not hear Lil B mispronouncing Illusions of Grandeur from that
one. Also, one last thing, the album art for Woptober 2 was shot by Harmony Korine, because why not?
What?
Yeah.
Why?
Yep.
Why? Sure.
Like, why would he not?
All right. I mean, whatever. It's 20 months short. Okay, moving on. I mean, I'm going to let that just go.
East Atlanta Santa 3.
This one's good, but it's they put all the bad songs in a row. I don't know why.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
But it's like it's the most R&B centric album by Gucci. I think it's generally good. Slide is great.
Slide, awesome. Slide's like a lot. Like, yeah, Slide's a really fun single. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't disperse the bad songs amongst the album as opposed to putting them all in a row. Because I was just talking about how his editing has gotten better, and this is like directly contradictory to that statement. But yeah. Other than that,
the problem is we're at this point now in Gucci's career where it's a lot of like, 6 out of 10 music. You're like, all right.
fine a lot, and it's fine.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fine. There's not a lot of insight you could give into the music, you know.
Yeah,
Like, okay, these songs are good, these songs are bad. The crossover attempts usually don't have a great hit rate.
I mean, I will say, in terms of crossover attempts, Slide is about as Slide proves he can still do interesting stuff in that lane.
Also, I just want to say for a second, it is good to see Jason Derulo coming a full fucking circle from starting his career on Pitbull and Birdman albums and then somehow ending up on a Gucci record at some point.
I'm not going to say anything good about Jason Derulo, so we're just going to slide.
He's my boy. I love him.
Doesn't he do like TV shows now or something?
I don't know.
I don't know. I thought he had a run of like he was like a judge on like talent TV shows or whatever. Like, you know, those.
Right.
Those like.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, whatever. Fine.
Gucci Mane presents So Icy Summer. This is interesting because it is the album where he basically introduced his new roster of artists.
Yep.
Like, neither of you guys watch pro wrestling. I don't really either, but it's like they have this thing where it's called NXT, where it's just like the wrestlers who aren't ready for the not for ready primetime players, not ready for primetime players like on SNL or whatever. That's what this is essentially. Is Gucci's not ready for primetime players. I have not listened to this.
It's fine. It's fine. It's like, I mean, this is basically just him being like, I have new artists. Here they are, and it's okay. I mean, his A&Ring is still all right, I think. Like, he did give us Pooh Shiesty, even though this man will probably not drop another new song for a long time.
A long time, yeah.
I was going to say, he gave us Pooh Shiesty, and then the law took Pooh Shiesty away.
Yeah. Fujiano is fine. Big 30 is okay. Big Scar is okay. The So Icy Girls are fine. I think they broke up already. I don't know.
You hate to see it. I will say, shout out to Peripheral podcast character, the dusty old head from my job, who refers to the one guy from this as that big dog Walker, which is in fact not that man's name. But he says so.
Yeah.
He does rap, in fact, well. I will say Big Dog Walk does rap well, but
he does. Also, here is a song. This has a song with Young Nudie, and I'm very happy about it.
Yes, a long time coming collaboration.
Yeah, absolutely.
Young Nudie, who, I mean, by the time this is released, might have already dropped the album, but album coming very soon, in a matter of days, so can't wait for that.
Makes me want how much Gucci over Pierre have we heard, if any? Like, I'm trying to think.
I should know this more off the top of my head. I'm gonna skim.
One, right?
That is a great question. Let me actually.
Right now, we're all frantically consulting our.
No, I'm ashamed that I don't know this. Well, wasn't Gucci on a Nudie album like in the last couple years?
I think he was.
I think he was featured on one of the ones from the last couple years. Let me find it. Let me look at the last album. Yeah, he was. So was that a Pierre beat? Let's find out. It was not. It was not a Pierre beat. So
he was on Rich Shooter.
Yeah, he was on Rich Shooter, but the track he was on wasn't a Pierre beat, apparently, according to RYM, who I know, like, not the most trustworthy source, but
less and less so with time.
Yeah, no kidding.
Shout out to banning everybody who had. Anyway, moving on.
So I think Volume 1. It's another. Here's my new artists. It's fine. Yeah. Not much to talk about. It's just it's all right. It's just depressingly all right. It is fine. It is all right.
Which is unfortunate that like.
But then Gucci used to doing all right label samplers. Yeah, like where it's never been great. Like, just middle of the road.
They're also far too long, but that's another, conversation, I guess. But I always find them.
Dream trolling trap as well, I would say.
Yeah.
Speaking of, who listen to way too many of the same songs over and over for this project because, so Icy Boyz 22, the last one we're going to get to. Although one song specifically does warrant mention. That's what we're going to close on.
But we have one last album from Gucci.
So Ice Daddy,
that's great. That's a great album. That's a great album.
It's actually a really fun album. Surprisingly so. It's again,
he's pretty good on it.
This is Punchline Gucci again, I would say. The first half is, I would say, more the label sampler aspect where it's a little runny together in terms of production and features alike, although Posse on Boulder Crest, very memorable. But the second half, you get some more memorable features. Gucci throughout, very fun, I would say. Very fun.
You could tell that him having a new roster of artists behind him, like, inspired him to go a little harder again. But, yeah.
I definitely think that there's just something, there's a spark missing from the newer music, even on stuff like this. Like, I think this is probably the best since Evil Genius.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. And it has, I think, one of the best, I said it in the Discord last night, like, as a joke, but, like, it's one of the best, like, new Gucci songs in Bust Down, like, which I think is the best song on here. Like, I really love that beat, and I love what he's doing on it.
It's a really fun song. I think that probably my favorite on there. I have to look at the track list. That's the problem with it. Is like it all just runs together after a point on some of the newer stuff.
The 34 and 8
my
track
favorite. I like the. I think Lil Trap shit's fun with Lil Baby. I think the thing about it is the features all do their feature thing. It again feels like a legacy artist album. That's my problem. Because
and that's a good, I think, jumping off like conversation point, because isn't that kind of what he feels like at this point?
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine.
He's earned it.
Yeah.
Like I said Ludacris before, and I guess he's earned it. And he's got so much more of a body of work than Ludacris. Like Ludacris has like 0 good albums? Like maybe one.
Like one, yeah.
I mean, some great singles for sure, and I think Luda's like ability is unquestioned and influence unquestioned. But like Gucci has how many great projects? He's earned the ability to coast as a legacy artist. And honestly, over the course of 7 hours we've asked you to listen to us talk about Gucci, how many legitimately bad projects has he had? Like Sophia, you've listened to 200 of them. You can tell us like how many genuinely bad projects.
It's like 10.
Yeah, most of them named Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and most of them are
the other five are label bullshit while he was in jail. So,
right. It's Big Cat or Wilt Chamberlain or just generally recycling related. Like, if he's actually invested in it, it's not going to be a bad project. So he's earned the right to just put out like comfort food. We say it over and over, comfort food. So he's earned the right. It's just unfortunate that somebody who can be such an exciting, vital artist but he's earned the right.
Because especially now after Ice Daddy, we get into the most not infuriating, but just exhausting parts of his career. And it's sad that we have to end this off on this note, but
food, you've gone to the old country buffet because, late.
He released So Icy Boyz, So Icy Gang, So Icy Christmas, and then he re-released So Icy Boyz with bonus tracks. Then he re-released So Icy Gang Volume 1 with bonus tracks. Then he re-released So Icy Christmas with bonus tracks. Then he released So Icy Boyz 22, which is the original plus the bonus tracks plus a new CD. And then he released So Icy Boyz 22, The End. The final chapter or the end or something like that, which is 4 discs.
Or some shit, yeah.
It's just 4 discs now. And I get it. I get it. This is Gucci looking back at like 2009, like his heyday of like pushing so much material and trying so hard to make his artists famous and wanting to do this again, but like in the streaming age. But it's just so exhausting getting the same project over and 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 over.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I agree. Really, not much to say.
And it's not even, and the worst part is that none of it is bad, like, but none of it is great. Like, it's just perfectly fine. You go to any fucking the perfectly fine breakfast buffet that you overate at, and that now you feel sick and have to puke for the whole day. I don't know.
I almost wish it was bad, because then you'd have more to talk about. Like, I wish I could shit on it and be like, man, Wale had a terrible verse on this. But there's no, like, even bad features from mainstream artists I hate on it. It's just, like, infuriatingly mediocre, not even mediocre, infuriatingly average consistency, like, for the most part. But there is one song that I think really warrants talking about, and that's Letter to Takeoff.
Yeah, it's the last thing we're going to talk about with Gucci. Yeah. But that's for a reason.
Yeah,
and a great music video too.
Yeah, and the saddest fucking shit ever.
Well, I mean, you do this before for Dolph,
which was also the saddest fucking shit.
Which speaks to like, yeah,
impression from listening to this that he's sick of doing this shit.
That's what I was trying to get at. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is downright evil that these songs exist as great as they are. It's really sad.
Like, there was no reason for this planet to make us need to have a long-lived Dolph, and there was just as little reason for this world to make us have a Letter to Takeoff. But here we are.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, it's a testament to how well he writes and how personal he writes, that he's able to lucidly talk about it in terms of his own career and bring back to like a perspective where he can talk about how things relate to him, but also still make it a moving elegy for a departed artist. But second of all, fuck that. He shouldn't have to talk about it in the first place.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
And then when he just the second verse, when he just talks about everyone that was lost in the last couple of years, and his friends and people he was rooting for, and when he just lists Shawty Low, Pimby Rock, X, Dolph, Jesus, Randy.
As a whole, I mean,
Metro's mother.
Right. It's fucking. It's devastating. I mean, I don't want to end this on a down note. I mean, it was the last song. It was the most moving song on the last project we're going to talk about, and so obviously it warranted mention. And I mean, we're going to obviously end this on a capstone talking about his projects and stuff. So we're not going to really. But yeah, it's. I mean, I do think that. It warrants like it shows how much he's grown though. Like this is the guy who wrote Truth, and now he's able to write that. So,
no, it's deeply moving and very personal, which I think is also a hallmark of post prison Gucci in spots. He's been able to weave these kinds of songs into his projects, whether it's a song like Robbed, or he's more just like introspective musings, or he's making a Letter to Takeoff, where you can really get a clear sense for his pain, while also trying to keep putting out there that life goes on, which is one of the hardest messages to really internalize. So it was very, very moving hearing that from Gucci. It
felt like it came from a very personal place, because I feel like it's very easy to do something cynical, like something like fucking Puffy over the Police song at the 97 VMAs, or DaBaby doing a fucking BLM thing for George Floyd. Like that.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
Gross shit. Like, I think this came from a very personal place and it was written very beautifully. So, but I don't want to dwell on it, although, like, we're going to end on that as our closing music. But just to not be morbid, you know, and end on something positive, though, like, I mean, that's obviously the best song on the project. So, like, that's obviously the best thing on that project. And there's really not much else to say about that project, I don't think, unless Sophia has something else. But I think that's, like, it's a content dump. I think the Met Gala remix is kind of cool. But beyond that, Dissing the Dead, again, like, another... Jesus Christ. So we always try and do these discography episodes, catalog episodes, whatever, and try and do a capstone thing about. So what do you think? Best project, best song, defining moment, Gucci career?
I'd still go with, I personally still go with Chicken Talk as best project.
And
yeah, I think I would agree. I think that's my favorite too. It's close, but that's my favorite.
It's really early in his career, but it's just, for a double mixtape, it's just insanely consistent, so forward thinking, so much good lines, so much good writing, so much great humor, so much good hooks. Yeah.
Yeah, that's go ahead, Gil.
I think Chicken Talk and either Everybody Looking or DropTopWop are good, like, bookends to listen to. Like, if you're just getting into Gucci, let's say you've only heard a project or two, I think those are both really good projects to listen to, you know, in the beginning, just to get a feel for both, you know, both stages, both sides of the career. So those would be ones that I would recommend, because to me, like, the height of my, like, you know, Gucci fandom was around that 2017 time, and not just because of the new stuff, but because I was going back and because of that new stuff, listening to Chicken Talk and Mr. Zone 6 and Burprint and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I would recommend.
Yeah. As for best song, that's difficult, because this man has literally has a catalog with so many fantastic songs. But honestly, I'm gonna be really cliche here, but I'd still say Lemonade. Lemonade, or actually Lost for Words. Lost for Words was like really like that kind of emotional, way too honest Gucci verse where I was like, oof, that just really hit.
Yeah, best song. That's tough because there's so many. I'll say either Activist or First Day Out the Feds. Those are probably my favorites, just from the sheer amount of times I've listened to them. So
I'm gonna steal directly from both of you and say that Chicken Talk is the beginning period best album, and Everybody Looking is the best later period album, and Lemonade is the song he'll be most remembered by, and First Day Out the Feds is my favorite song. So I'm just stealing from both of you because you're all right. And Sophia, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on. I hope to have you on again in the future, possibly about the artists that no one else will talk about. But it's been an absolute pleasure, because we don't have anybody else who's been published in liner notes on our show except for you. So congratulations. I don't think I said that before. And we are living off borrowed time, and our intro music is the Borrowed Time instrumental by Yoon Classic, and our outro music tag name Pace by Can Kick. We're living off borrowed time. See you next time. Peace.
It ain't gonna never stop. 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 Salam.
Time will tell. Time is yet to be conquered by man. But when the time is right, perhaps the greatest revelation of all time will dawn upon us.